Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Obviously, you're new to it, but it's been building for years. What does it mean to you to be already impacting and being a part of what they're doing here in Detroit?
It means a lot. You know, we haven't reached the goal yet. You know, we just each game we try to play to the standard that we set ourselves to, and just it's gonna be a long season, so one game at a time. But hopefully we'll reach that goal that we want to reach.
Awesome.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. You just heard from Brian Branch there talking about this upcoming game. One day away. Lions are going on the road, traveling to Green Bay to get a rematch. Not Aaron Rodgers rematch, but Green Bay Packers rematch. Now with Jordan Love under center. We got a packed show for you guys planned for today. The whole crew's here, per usual. Sam Flannel, my partner in crime. We got JB in the booth, rocking the Redwings quarter zip.
Oh, yeah. I tapped in last night. We got that W.
Yeah, you did. 4-3, went over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And honestly, if you watch that game, too, and we're going to get into more Red Wings as the season starts, of course, with Pistons as well. But it was nice, man. How about Danielson? Goal right off the rip.
Hey, he showed you what he's about. Like, hey, I came to win.
Dude's a killer. Killer Ginger. Let's we got Lucas Klotz on the ones and twos in the booth, as always, holding it down for us. Lucas, I know you're fired up for this game. We were just kind of chopping it up before the show about Jordan Love. And we're going to get into Jordan Love.
We will.
Later in the show. I got a whole segment planned for 8:30 because I want to have the conversation. Are we overlooking Jordan Love?
Ooh.
And I know Sam has some thoughts on it. We'll have that conversation at 8:30. 8:15, though, in about 13 minutes, we'll be talking about the injuries or guys coming back. And for both teams, Packers and Lions. A lot of optimism for the Lions, but also some guys for the Packers are coming back as well. 8:45, more Lions rookies being nominated for Pepsi Rookie of the Week. You're going to want to see who the two are. And we'll talk about them, and we'll talk about who deserves it and look at the other NFL rookies who also made that list. 9 o'clock, we'll revisit, and we'll take a trip down memory lane. Although I just complained yesterday about revisionist history, this is fits my narrative, so I want to do this one.
This time it's okay.
Yeah, this one's okay because it fits my narrative. Aiden Hutchinson versus Trayvon Walker.
Whew.
Yeah, and I listen, on Twitter, if you didn't see already, there's some interesting stats out there about both players, even Kayvon Thibodeau to a certain extent. And I want to compare all three edge rushers that were taken in the top 10 of that draft and just really just gloat up the Lions and Brad Holmes for a second here because, yeah, I don't even want to get it out. There's a lot there. 9:16, we'll get into college football. I wanted to do it earlier in the week, but a lot of Lions we had to cover there. We'll talk about Deion Sanders' prime, or Colorado losing to Oregon, Michigan, and their win over Rutgers, of course. Their big win over Rutgers. And then Ohio State taking down Notre Dame in the final seconds. What a game that was as well.
Ain't nobody whooping us at
well, Deion, they will this week. They will. Sorry, Deion. And then 9:30, we'll discuss the MVP conversation because a lot of interesting names already being nominated. We'll have a conversation with all the guys here and who should win, who's the most deserving to win MVP. I see people already chiming in and look at this Gen X production. Let me guess, just like everybody else, you guys talk about the Brad home to make mistake not drafting Carter. I think there was a little bit of grammatical errors there, but regardless, no. Ex-Roman, appreciate you joining. He says, oh, shit, Jeff isn't late. No, I am not. Phil says, Jeff late again. What happened? Why am I late? I don't understand. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't like that narrative being spread. Yusuf says, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Yusuf. Damn Yankee. Good morning, y'all. Good morning to Yankee as well. Funky says, personally, I think Love will be on that Goff Cousins tier. I'm with you, Funky. I am. I really am. And that's all. And I want to hear all the people from the whole Jordan, the Justin Fields hype train. I want their thoughts on Jordan Love because if Justin Fields is uber talented and he's a stud and Jordan Love stinks, well, I want people to revisit that conversation, Sam, because Jordan Love's shown us some things over the last couple weeks. Yeah. Not saying he's elite, but for his first year starting, a little better than I expected.
No,
I'll just say that.
100%. And I know a lot of people, myself included, Lucas Klotz included, and I think to some extent you included too, Jeff, were expecting at least a leap from Justin Fields.
Right.
And I think we were all, I would say, a little bit skeptical about Jordan Love because we hadn't really seen him. He sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. But right now, it looks like Jordan Love, and we'll get into it more later, is the quarterback maybe in the NFC North that maybe the Lions should fear most moving forward. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I mean, I know Kirk Cousins has better numbers, but they're 0-3 right now. The Packers are 2-1, and they're facing the Lions in a game this Thursday, basically for the lead in the division.
And I love your tweet was it last night or the night prior when you talked about quarterback wins?
It was last night.
Yeah, and you just debunked that whole thing. like think about it. Like Herbert and Kirk Cousins having had damn good years. Both teams stink.
Yes. Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell are technically better than Justin Herbert and Kirk Cousins. Hey, 3 touchdowns, 5 picks, Lucas Klotz.
Lucas will
4
still
of them came last week. Everybody was saying how the kid could possibly be a stud. And then 1 week happens, and then they're out on him. It's like it's 4th start. The kid's going to be fine.
It's 4 picks, Lucas. It's not 2.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's good. But his arm talent has shown you a lot, and he has mobility. And with Eric Bieniemy, I trust that.
I
That's
mean,
all I'm saying.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll
With
see.
those receivers,
Good situation. He's got
Yes.
Riverboat Ron as head coach.
that'll be for like
Eric
another...
Bieniemy as OC.
Riverboat Ron will be there for like another 2 months until he forgets that, oh, yeah, this is the game that we could potentially get eliminated from the playoffs from, but I don't know it. That when Ron Rivera didn't know that they were eliminated from the playoffs, cut the check right in. Right Eric Bieniemy as head coach. But, hey.
And this is what I love, too. Brandon Katz, Jordan Love isn't throwing down the field at all. Love has been nothing special. Brandon, I would suggest go watching some early Packer games because although the completion percentage is bad, and I don't want to give too much away, there was some deep balls there and some beautiful balls. Now, I'll say this. Completion percentage is cheeks, 53% completion percentage.
Really
yeah, the accuracy is a problem, but you can't just sit here and say he hasn't thrown any deep balls. Like, go watch Packers games, man. Like, he's been throwing deep balls. And by the way, too, at least for today, we're going to be covering a lot of the Packers game, and then tomorrow we'll get into more matchups and talk about the game itself, give our predictions away. We're not going to talk about anything today regarding that because tomorrow's going to be a packed show full of that. Can't wait for that. It'll be exciting. And then we'll have the pregame, and then we'll have the watch party. So all day, it's going to be a fun time.
From sun up to sundown.
Absolutely.
Literally.
From sun up to sundown. I do want to bring up this, though. And Chef Talk says, pause, Jeff. Yeah, I did say something, man. I did mess up.
You said beautiful balls.
He's thrown some beautiful balls, okay? You got to add the thrown in there. You can't just... Okay.
He threw a brutal interception as well, though.
That's true.
All right.
All things can be true.
7 of 16 after the first half.
Yeah, again, like, you're going stat flannel on me. Just relax.
No,
you're like 7 for 16. Watch the game.
I'm going off these.
100%.
I saw a brutal interception. I saw a Bears secondary, a Falcons secondary, which is okay. And then who they play this week?
Jared threw a pick against the Falcons secondary. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we're not going to act like this. Not you, but people are acting. I saw videos on Twitter. Jordan Love up here, Aaron Rodgers video down here.
No.
The mannerisms are just the same. The next 20 years, they're going to be just the same. Relax. Relax.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say he's going to be the next Hall of Famer. They're going to go from Brett Favre Hall of Famer to Aaron Rodgers Hall of Famer to now Jordan Love Hall of Famer. But I'm with Funky. Can he not be in a Cousins Goff tier eventually?
Yeah.
Eventually, you know what I mean? And I think he can. Now, Brandon Katz thinks he's a bust, but listen, I think this guy can at least be mid. And you can win games with mid, especially with Green Bay. But again, I'm getting into it now. I gotta wait a little bit. Update: Chase Cota. Ooh. Signing with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey.
No, God, please, no.
Chase Cota, or Spenny would refer to him as Chase Goda, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Big year coming for Chase Cota. Loaded.
He's taking Kadarius Toney's job.
Yeah. That's a great point. I mean, they're looking at Kadarius Toney saying this guy has brick for hands. Well, let's sign Chase Cota, the man who has just the best hands in the NFL.
I mean, I would say it's a bit of a contingency plan. I don't want to, like, kind of crap on Chase Cota because he did have a very good preseason. He was a guy that I think we all agreed maybe had a chance to make the roster, the opening day roster for the 53-man roster for the Detroit Lions, but didn't end up doing it. So now he gets a chance to at least be in the Kansas City Chiefs organization, the winningest organization in the NFL right now. And hey, who knows? Maybe if one of those weapons goes down, Chase Cota can step right in and make a play. I mean, if he can make a guy like Justin Watson good, then maybe Chase Cota can be there. I mean, Justin Watson has some talent, but when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs receivers, you see a lot of, I would say, C-plus level guys. And can Chase Cota be something like that with Patrick Mahomes? Maybe. It might turn out to be nothing, but hey, now Chase Cota can win a Super Bowl this year because that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing.
Right. I mean, you look at the wide receiver. I don't get it. I really don't. Sky Moore.
He's been a little better.
Justin Watson.
He's improved.
Richie James.
He's a little gadget player. But to JB's point, I like Rasheed, but he's also a rookie. So, like, man. Sam Flannel, those are your Chiefs.
Yeah.
You confident they're taking that wide receiver core? They can go on another playoff run.
Well, I'm confident if Travis Kelce is fully healthy and playing his best ball because he is still the best tight end in the NFL right now.
That is true.
And he is the best tight end who has ever played NFL football. So as long as he's there.
Him and Jerick McKinnon. That's all Patrick Mahomes needs in the playoffs is Kelce and McKinnon.
You know what I've been seeing trending? I don't know if you guys have saw this. And I don't have TikTok, but my girlfriend does. And she showed me this TikTok of girlfriends asking their boyfriend or telling their boyfriend, I can't believe Travis Kelce got famous overnight by dating Taylor Swift, like trolling him. And every boyfriend like freaks out.
I have a tin hat conspiracy about this.
And every boyfriend's like, you do realize he's the best tight end in the NFL. Like, and they're like, oh, he got famous because Taylor Swift. I'm like, you guys. Which, by the way, he has gained more followers. His podcast is #1. Jersey sales are up there. Like,
now he's the Pfizer spokesboy. I'm telling you, it's for a reason. As
Get your bag.
As soon as he was the Pfizer spokesboy. As soon as he was getting shot up, there was a whole bunch of Travis Kelce everywhere. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, people forget. I mean, at least for Travis's sake, like sometimes, yeah, it's romantic, you know, right? Like he gets maybe he's not dating her officially, but he's testing the waters with Taylor Swift. It's worth it for his fame. Like, even if it doesn't work out, Travis Kelce is more famous now just because of what he did there. So regardless, who cares? I did see one. It gets so cringe though. The thing I don't like is you see that clip of what was Travis Kelce looking up at the monitor, and he was like staring up at it, smiling, and like someone quoted it, like the way he looks at her.
I'm just so annoyed.
And like, someone retweeted and is like, dude, he's looking at a replay.
This whole Taylor Swift thing is just nauseating to me. Before they were bringing it into the NFL season, when she was like having concert at Ford Field, like who gives a fuck? Like, I'm sorry, who really gives a fuck? I don't care. And now that it's like, every other post on my social feed is something about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. She's not even that hot. Her music and her fan base is annoying. I'm tired of seeing it. Let's make this a Taylor Swift free environment.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
You guys do know that Swifties are about to take over all these NFL games now, right?
No,
like
we're not
every single game that the Kansas City Chiefs play, they will either be at the game or they will start watching now on TV at home.
Just say something slightly mean and they'll all have an emotional disruption and have tantrums and start playing Taylor Swift on the way home, blaming their ex-boyfriend for all their problems.
Detroit Dabber
even though they're the problem.
Detroit Dabber threw in 3. Hollywood Jeff, of course, thinking how Travis is boosting his fame. Typical. That is true. Detroit Dabber. John chiming in the doc. He says Kristen Harper over Taylor Swift. Facts.
It's not even close.
Yeah. Well, that's the. I think that would be most of the public opinion, not just locally here.
Okay,
I'm
question.
sure Travis Kelce has the same opinion as well. What's up, JB?
I said question.
If you had a choice.
Taylor Swift or Brittany Mahomes?
Oh, God.
You got to pick one.
Oh, God.
You got to pick one.
It's basically like die or cut my balls off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, wait, it's a lose-lose.
You got to pick one.
I'm going Taylor just for the fact that she's actually done something with her life. Brittany Mahomes has been Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend since high school. That's her claim to fame. She's always sitting next to Jackson Mahomes in the studio, or not in the studio, in the suite. It's the only reason people know her, besides the fact of being just annoying as fuck.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Is death an option?
Death is not an option.
All right, well, we'll go to break here. Let's Sam Flannel, could you tell the people about Lady Jane's for me?
Absolutely, and that is how I got a woman better than Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift, by getting these amazing haircuts,
did,
of
Flannel.
course, done by the wonderful stylist at Lady Jane's. You can come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams and all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf. Downtown's newest sports bar has 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and most importantly, full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up. Good times. Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Appreciate you for tuning in. Don't forget, I'd much appreciate it if you hit that like button. It helps.
You helped my day out.
It helped my day out. It helped Sam Flannel's day out, Lucas's day out, and JB's day out. It just matters. And it helps the algorithm for the show. So much appreciated. Let's get into these injury updates because it goes both ways here. And I don't know if you have this specific graphic, Lucas. If not, I'll get it to you. It's both teams.
I do not.
Okay,
no.
I'll send it to you. I'll read some of them, and then Lucas will throw it up in a second here. Let me just give this one to Lucas. Okay. So I'll go through the updates at least for Monday and Tuesday's practice participation for both teams. Some updates here for the Packers. Some key players. Jair Alexander did not participate Monday. Limited participation Tuesday. So that's huge. But for them, I think he's trending towards playing here. Limited participation. Who didn't practice at all, who I expect to be out there, is David Bakhtiari. Did not practice this week, still dealing with that knee injury, at least for resting that knee injury. I think he'll play, though. I think David's the type of guy where he doesn't really need to play, when he just, or at least practice. He just shows up and does his thing. Here's the list. Thanks, Lucas, for that. Devondre Campbell, another guy that I don't think needs to practice. So, again, that did not participate. I don't look too much into that. I expect him to be out there as well. What's super interesting to me is Jenkins, who's a really
Eldon
good
Jenkins. Yeah. I don't think he's been out for a minute. He got hurt week 2, so I think the fact that he's not practicing, he's not going to play, and that's huge. Yeah,
and that's the difference there. I mean, okay, you look at some of the other players here. Rashawn Gary, limited participant, which. Again, he had a knee injury last year, so he'll be playing. He's a monster. Rashawn Gary is a problem.
He had 3 sacks last week, I think, 2 or 3.
Yeah, and he played. You know how many snaps he played? 23 snaps.
Just off.
And 3.5. What do you have? 3.5 sacks. That's ridiculous. That's like James Houston numbers right there.
Yeah.
What he's doing. We'll move down here. Aaron Jones is the key one because he's dealing with a hamstring injury, and. That one could go either way. Because if you think, and I want to read this off first because this surprised me. I looked at just this. I was pulling to Sam. Sam, you'd be proud of me. I was looking at the stats. Checking them out thoroughly looking at the stats yesterday.
Good man.
You know what I noticed? You know who leads the Green Bay Packers in yards per attempt or yards per carry? Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Jordan Love.
It's a good sign.
Think about that first, because after Aaron Jones went out, A.J. Dillon was expected to step in there and hold it down, but he's averaging 2.7 yards per carry. A.J. Dillon.
He's done.
Really?
He's done.
Really?
I remember he was supposed to be like, as a Lions fan, I was a little worried about A.J. Dillon going to the Packers just because of, like, he almost reminded me of Brandon Jacobs, low-key, just how, like, big he is, and he's had some explosiveness, and he's already lost his step. Like, I think A.J. Dillon's just a non-factor in that offense. He could be because of just how big and powerful that he runs, but mid.
He had a decent year. What was it? His rookie year.
Yeah.
He had like 800. And I think what gave him even more clout, let's be real here, and it's the Saquon effect, was his thighs.
Legs, yeah.
Guy has like tree trunks for legs.
He does.
And that was the big thing with A.J. Dillon. But, okay, how's that translating? 2.7 yards per carry. And then you move down. Aaron Jones. And the one game he did play, 9 for 41, had 4.6 yards per carry. That would essentially be second behind Jordan Love. Besides Keyshawn Nixon, who's actually getting some touches offensively. He had 1 attempt for 11 yards. So that doesn't count, though. Bigger sample size. Jordan Love leads the team in rushing. So Aaron Jones is the big one. I expect him to be back, right? And the Lions are bringing back guys as well. And we put this graphic out in Woodward Sports. Backup's coming. Taylor Decker, David Montgomery, expected to be back this week, this Thursday in Green Bay. There's Dan Campbell's quote. The two that are trending the most positive right now are Decker and Demo. But this happens for both teams. It's the two teams that are tied. It's Thursday night, short week, a limited practice this week for both teams, and it's a divisional game. So everybody that can play is going to play. That goes for both teams. Like David Bakhtiari, I expect him to be out there. I do, even though he's kind of dealing with a little injury right now, or has been. Demo, Taylor Decker's out there. You're going to get two teams, Sam Flannel, that are going to be at full strength. But the question I have is we have yet to see Christian Watson with this Packers offense, the burner, the deep threat. And then you have Aaron Jones. They're getting back up too.
Yeah, they are.
Two pretty good players.
Yeah, they are most certainly getting back up. I would say not just two very good players, they're two best skill position players by far at this point, Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, because basically during this stretch of Green Bay Packers football, they're 2-1, and the last two games Aaron Jones didn't play, and Christian Watson still hasn't played the whole season. And Aaron Jones, to me, he is one of the best running backs in the NFC. It bears out by the numbers.
100%.
In three of the last four seasons, he's had over 1,000 yards rushing, and in two of those seasons, he's averaged over 5 yards per carry. And he's definitely their best running back by far, because I agree that A.J. Dillon, at best, is a serviceable second option as a running back. You never want him being your starter. And if the Lions could somehow play the Packers without Aaron Jones, it would be a huge advantage. But it's looking like Aaron Jones is going to play. And Christian Watson, he's their best receiver right now. He's their most explosive playmaker, maybe besides for Aaron Jones. And Christian Watson, he hasn't played at all this season, but last year he was their second leading receiver and is their he is their leading returning receiver because Alan Lazard went to the Jets. So those are definitely some reinforcements for the Packers that could swing the game possibly in their favor, and they certainly could be a problem for this Lions defense if the Lions let them be a problem. But at the same time, the Lions may have some reinforcements themselves, because if Taylor Decker and David Montgomery play, that could be a huge advantage.
Huge.
And here is the reason why. What is the biggest weakness of the Green Bay Packers team overall? I would say their run defense. They are 27th in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. They have been basically one of the worst run defenses in the NFL this year so far. And if with Taylor Decker back and David Montgomery, you would have, I wouldn't say completely at full strength, you would basically have the offensive line that you had last year, because Vaitai is out, and Vaitai was out last year. And your backup this year is Graham Glasgow, which I actually think is better than anybody that the Lions had last year, like the combination of Evan Brown and the Funky Bunch, pretty much. Guys like John Skipper. I think I would trust Graham Glasgow over any of them. And David Montgomery, I'll tell you what, David Montgomery, when he was running the football this year, he looked pretty good. The rushing offense looked good when he was there. But also, in week 3, Jahmyr Gibbs got the chance to kind of tote the rock as the #1 running back, and he did a damn good job. And maybe this is the game in which Ben Johnson can kind of unleash this thunder and lightning backfield tandem, and they can kind of maximize the most out of their skill set. And maybe, just maybe, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs kind of get an equal amount of touches. So I think those particular players, David Montgomery and Taylor Decker, could be a huge advantage, and maybe, just maybe, the Lions could have their best rushing performance as a team this season against a rushing defense in Green Bay, which isn't very good.
No. Wait, can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, we're good. Sorry, that was weird. And to your point, Sam, about the run defense for Green Bay, and also their pass defense, because that's the biggest thing for the Packers, and it seems like it's been a consistent thing, at least.
Hold up, Jeff. Hold up real quick. We're trying to try now? Try talking now. Yeah, plug her in. I think we lost it for a second.
All right, there you go.
There we go. All right.
That's listen, I'm going to be honest. That was nobody but me. All right, I unplugged it. So I'm the dumbass. It's not JB or nobody else. I take accountability for that. All right, like I was saying, you talk about the defense for the Packers. And it seems like the Green Bay defense over the last couple of years, same defensive coordinator, more talent than what they rank. Like, it seems like that's always the case with Green Bay. They got a lot of talent, but right now, like Sam said, and this is per StatMuse. I did some research here. Rush yards per game, 23rd. And then you look at pass yards per game, 21st. Oh, no, excuse me, that's offensively. But regardless, defensively, they're back half of the league in run defense. It's not great. And you look at Derek Carr, torched their secondary pretty much. 13 for 18, looked damn good before he got hurt. What really killed him, though, is Rashawn Gary, like literally. Threw him down on his face and like hurt his shoulder.
Dude, Gary was kind of like juiced afterward.
I know.
He like looked back.
He stepped over him. He stepped like that. Rashad, that's a whole nother problem. That's why I'm happy that Taylor Decker's back, because you complete your strength. Your strength becomes now even stronger, because before, is it cool that Colby Sorsdahl lined up at right tackle and didn't allow a pressure? Yeah, but that's not ideal. That's not what you want. It's the Atlanta Falcons. This is Green Bay Packers. They got Kenny Clark. They got guys that can get after the quarterback. So it is a concern. But you look at the run game now for the Lions. They rushed for 100 yards last game with who they had. You get Taylor Decker back. Panay moves over to right. You feel better about a Rashawn Gary or Kenny Clark, but also you feel better about the run game. David Montgomery's coming back. So, again, I think it'll be a good matchup. I don't want to overlook Jordan Love, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But I think the Packers are well coached too. I like Matt LaFleur. I know a lot of people call them frauds. I know Easy was big on that train. Love you, Easy. He's always said and you agree with him too.
That's what I was going to say.
I think he's a good coach. And if you can't see that, I mean, what he's doing with Jordan Love, at least trying to make this is what I see in a good coach, right? Okay, you have a young quarterback, simplify it. And he's been simplifying it. They have a good offensive line. You know what they want to do. They want to run the football, establish play action, get Jordan Love in some favorable positions. The problem, though, with that offense is if you stop the run, which the Lions against Aaron Jones, you guys know about this, and I saw someone's comment, Aaron Jones always torches the Lions. Really? At least recently? You go back last year, he had 12 attempts for 48 yards. And then the game where they essentially beat Green Bay 15-9, he had 9 attempts for 25 yards. You go back 17 attempts for 67 yards. You go back again to 2020, 15 attempts for 70 yards. He's been around 3.5 yards per carry. This isn't Aaron. Now, in 2020, early on, he had 18 for $168. So we're talking 3 years ago. Is Aaron Jones going to torch you? At least with this new regime, I haven't seen it yet. So if he does come off a hamstring injury, that would suck. But at least from what I've seen with the evidence, Sam Flannel, he hasn't done ish over the last 4 games.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to hear people citing Aaron Jones games from 2020 because it's a completely different regime. It's a completely rebuilt defense with all the draft picks and Aaron Glenn and everything. And the recent history from Aaron Jones has showed that he hasn't really torched the Detroit Lions. And this Lions run defense, I wouldn't say that I was skeptical of it going into the game against Atlanta, but I didn't know if they were really as good of a run defense as they'd showed in the previous 2 games. Right. It turns out they had their best performance of the season, basically putting Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier in a phone booth. 20 carries for 44 yards against that rushing attack, against that offensive line, against Arthur Smith, Bijan Robinson,
That's a
Tyler
confidence
Algier.
booster.
That's more impressive than when they shut down Saquon, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Just because of the degree of difficulty that the defensive line was facing when it comes to the offensive line's ability to run block. Like, I understand they weren't anything in the pass game, but stopping the run in its own conversation, I think the Detroit Lions had their most impressive performance.
And I want to say this up, too, about the run game, because I was trying to look for the specific stat I saw, and I couldn't find the defense. But I want to bring this up. Allowing the amount of rushing yards per game that the Packers allow, 136.7. That's what the rate they're at right now. So when you look at passing, they're allowing about 200 yards passing. But they got a pretty good secondary, especially if they're getting pressure. That makes their job even easier there. But you know what I thought was interesting, Sam, before we head out here?
Yeah.
4th down efficiency. You know what the Packers are giving up?
What's that?
5 for 7.
Ooh.
You think this is a game where Dan goes for it?
I mean, we shall see.
5 for 7 they're allowing on the year from 4th down.
Well, that's
You think Dan's checking the numbers and going, boys, we're going for it.
You know, I I don't know about. I mean, we shall see because the game in which he was more aggressive in going for fourth downs against Seattle, they missed a couple of them and they ended up losing. And in the game at home against the Falcons, Dan Campbell pretty much played it by the book. He punted when the situation called for him to punt, and he took field goals when the situation called for him to take field goals. But it's at Lambeau. It's a game where I would say is a little bit of a pick'em. If there's some fourth downs, maybe like a 4th and 1 from the Packers 40, I'm sure he'll want to go for it. And hey, the Packers, especially with the run defense being as poor as it is, and possibly having David Montgomery in the backfield behind that offensive line, which might be getting back Taylor Decker, I like my chances. And you know what else? Imagine if the Lions, you know how the Packers, you said, they're giving up 136.7 yards per game on the ground. If the Detroit Lions get 137 or more, they're winning this game, no doubt about it. Because that means they will have pretty much controlled the game. They will have controlled the time of possession. They would have controlled the line of scrimmage. Or if they didn't do that, maybe Jahmyr Gibbs breaks one.
Right.
Because 137 yards rushing in a game is a damn good performance.
You wear out the defense.
Yes.
You keep the offense off the field. That's ideal, especially on the road.
Yes.
Now, the whole fourth down stuff, I would, and again, I don't want to sound like the old man yelling on his porch, like, stop going for fourth downs. But at least in this game on Thursday, I in my opinion, this is going to be one of those games where you're going to have to take the points. Like, I can see this game being like a 2016 win, 2017 win, 23. Like, it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a 30-27 win. It'll be lower scoring. I think the field goals are going to matter. So, unless, to your point, Sam, you're in Green Bay's territory and it's 4th and 1. I get that, but to some extent, like, we'll see. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But the Green Bay Packers are allowing, a 70% fourth down conversion rate. So maybe Dan's looking at that and licking his chops there. I don't know. 71.43%. And the Packers are 33% on their fourth down attempts. So I'm just saying, this could be a game where Dan Campbell's over there being aggressive. But hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him in the ass. We'll go to break here, and then we'll come back and have the discussion about Jordan Love. And I want to hear your guys' opinions on it. What do you think about Jordan Love? Does he stink? You think they got something in Jordan Love? I don't think anybody's going to say he's the next one. He's the next, Mahomes.
Packers fans' Twitter is going crazy.
I bet it is.
I hate the Packers, bro.
I
hate them.
I know. Fuck the Packers, man.
Like, I hate them. Like, I know Easy doesn't like the Bears, but fuck the Packers, dude. They're just, everything about them, they're just like, the colors suck. Uniforms boring. They're in Wisconsin and Lambeau Field. You're sitting on bleachers in like 40-degree weather in October.
I know.
And their fan base is just corny. There's nothing to like about them. They don't even have an owner. Nobody wants to own that team because it's just, ugh.
And by the way, shout out to all the FTPs coming in the chat, man.
Yep.
Like they know what time it is. Screw the Packers, man. They stink. We'll go to break. Like I said, when we come back, we'll talk Jordan Love. But first, Jordan Love's going to need some dispo to recover after Thursday night. I'll tell you
Smoke weed every day.
Hey, after a couple of those hits that Aiden Hutchinson puts on him, he might need it for pain relief as well. And experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis products with the best dispensary around, Dispo. With over 12 locations, including their new location that is now open in Whitmore Lake, Dispo is never far away. Dispo Romeo is now open until midnight every day except Sunday. The only cannabis mall of its kind. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
You're a good coach, Tim. Oh, great shot.
Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much.
Good, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby.
Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Mark White, when buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time, any reason, with no penalties? That is exactly what Mark White and Associate offers. It's called the minute-by-minute listing agreement by Mark White and Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesales.com or give him a call at 248-290-8242. markwhitesales.com, where flexibility meets success.
Jordan Love. Man, interesting to say the least. 7 touchdown passes, 1 interception on the season. The stats don't tell the whole story because that 53% completion percentage isn't that great. So you look at touchdown interception ratio, you're like, oh wow, Jordan Love's having a better season than Jared Goff. Then you look at the other numbers and you're like, well, there's some context to that. But I'll tell you one thing. I don't think Lions fans should be overlooking Jordan Love, and I'll tell you why, Sam. And you can go after this because I did some research on it and I was curious. I went back and, like I said, I watched Jordan Love his first 3 games, at least the highlights, some lowlights. I wanted to see Jordan Love because I was curious. I didn't watch a ton of I watched last week's game against the Saints, but other than that, I haven't really been watching Jordan Love. So I went back and watched, and just to mention the last week's game specifically against the Saints, they're down 17-0. There were some weird calls in that game, too. I think Jordan Love threw a touchdown pass. It was called back. There was a lot of weird things happening. But what I do know is this. When you look at a young quarterback, especially in your first year starting, the biggest thing, and this is what we talked about with C.J. Stroud, the adversity you have to face, and you see these guys overcome it. Like C.J. is up there in the amount.
Just makes me sick to my stomach thinking about C.J. Stroud, man. Sorry.
Well, speaking of adversity, this is a man who, that offensive line for the Texans, is giving up, if not the most, one of the most pressures. They're up there for pressures in the NFL for C.J. Stroud. He's constantly pressured, and he still plays well, or at least he gets the job done. And he's efficient. He hasn't turned the ball over yet, at least throwing an interception. The thing I noticed with Jordan Love, and you talk about the last week's game against the Saints, he walked into that game. No left tackle, no left guard. Jenkins and Bakhtiari were both out. No RB1, and no wide receiver 1. You had no Aaron Jones, no Christian Watson. Your left tackle's missing. Jenkins is missing. He was a damn good offensive lineman. And he found a way in the fourth quarter. I know he started off rough. He did. The numbers, he was 7 for 16 with a pick. It wasn't great. But in that fourth quarter, now context, because that Green Bay defense shut out the Saints. And Jameis Winston, until the end, he got into field goal range. And of course, they missed the field. It was like a 46-yarder they missed. The Saints should have won that football game. But one thing I noticed, though, with Jordan Love is he didn't flinch. He was playing bad. He's missing, like I said, your left tackle, your left guard, you're both starting, your RB1, your wide receiver 1. He could have just laid down and just been like, you know what? I can't overcome this shit. I'm going to try, but there's too much to overcome. He found a way to win. So, again, yes, could the Packers have lost last game? Of course. But I think you get credit if you find a way to win. And yes, the defense helped out, and missing a field goal helped out. But what I noticed out of Jordan Love, Sam Flannel, even for his first year starting, and I know Derek Carr got hurt, and that was essentially the biggest reason. But I'm not talking about that. Just Jordan Love specifically, he fought through some adversity. And I think that's impressive for a guy in his first 3 games. Even for him, how calm he looks out there. He just looks comfortable. Now, the completion percentage is what it is. It's not great. Even last game, he was 20-something of 40-something. It was basically 50% again. So at least the Lions have that going for him. He's not accurate, but he was making some plays. When they were there, he made them. And there were some plays where they were there, and he didn't make them. But we'll see what he brings against the Lions on a short week. I don't think he's somebody the Lions should overlook. Lions fans, at least.
He's not somebody that we should overlook. And I will say this. I don't necessarily respect what Jordan Love did for the Green Bay Packers in the game against the Saints as much as some, because he heavily benefited from a defense that knocked Derek Carr out of the game, that gave up only 17 points and missed a field goal that would have won the game. That not the defense, but the kicker did. So I would say that Jordan Love, and he also completed only 50% of his passes in that game. So I don't give Jordan Jordan Love a ton of credit for that one, although he did, I would say, fight through some self-inflicted adversity and, hey, some injury adversity, and that's not nothing, especially when it's some of the best players on your offense, like Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Elton Jenkins, and David Bakhtiari. That is very, very significant. But I will say this about Jordan Love, and I found it interesting because I wouldn't say I did a deep dive, but I looked into some of these stats, and yes, they are context-free, but I think they tell a little bit of a story. So just bear with me, guys. The Packers are 2-1 and currently tied for the division lead with the Detroit Lions, with Jordan Love as their starting quarterback, which through 3 games, I think all Packers fans would take it. And this game coming up at Lambeau, it's for the division lead. Jordan Love is currently tied for 3rd in the NFL in touchdown passes with 7, tied with my guy Patrick Mahomes and ahead of Jared Goff. And I know you even mentioned one slightly negative thing about Jared Goff, and people just say like, oh my God, how can you say that about Jesus Goff right now? But, and this isn't to say anything about Jared Goff, but Jordan Love currently has more touchdown passes than him, and he also has more touchdown passes than Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Trevor Lawrence. I think that is fairly impressive, although some of those guys haven't looked as good as you would expect them to look early on in the season. Love is tied for 6th in the NFL in QBR at 69.2, tied with Josh Allen, and that is higher than Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Burrow. Again, context-free, but I think it tells a little bit of a story. Love also has only thrown 1 interception this season, which is huge. What do we always say about Jordan Love? As long as he plays clean football and doesn't turn the ball over, this is a Green Bay Packers roster that has a lot of pieces, particularly in the backfield, on defense, some young wide receivers, some good offensive linemen, and Jordan Love has at least taken care of the football. That is fewer interceptions than Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, who is the MVP frontrunner right now, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Trevor Lawrence. The Packers are also 8th in the NFL in points per game, which is higher than the Detroit Lions. And by the way, he has done all of this without Aaron Jones for 2 games and Christian Watson for all of the games. However, and this is kind of the complicated stat line of Jordan Love, we talk about the completion percentage. It is not just bad, it's really, really bad. It's the type of play yourself out of the league type of bad. It is 53.1%, which is 33rd in the NFL right now. There are 32.
The 33rd team.
Yes, there are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, by the way. 33rd among qualified NFL quarterbacks. And that is lower than Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett, and everybody's favorite, Desmond Ridder. And we all saw how bad Desmond Ridder looked against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. And I know that these stats, they don't tell the whole story, but it shows that Jordan Love, he's been good in a lot of ways, but he hasn't been very efficient in terms of his accuracy and in terms of, like, you know, completing passes. So should Lions fans be concerned with Jordan Love? Absolutely, especially considering that it's at Lambeau Field and it looks like he's getting some of his reinforcements back. But Jordan Love, he's not a guy... You don't want to say that you lost to Jordan Love. I will just say that. The stats would tell you and the eye test would tell you that he is, I don't know, maybe the 20th best quarterback in the NFL right now, something like that. But he's not trash. He is a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He's not somebody that we can just dismiss as like, psh, F this guy, we don't need to worry about him. Justin Fields, on the other hand, you can. But Jordan Love has proved you have to take him seriously.
We've seen, I mean, listen, as Lions fans, you've seen a lot of guys. I mean, Matt Flynn come to mind. You've seen some performances. I know this is different, very different. But no one should sit here and just be like, Jordan Love, easy money. Like, I think Jordan Love, you could say bottom 10. And Desmond Ritter's like bottom 5. He's better than Desmond Ritter. And to address 2 points, because I think someone brought this up too. Jeff, they didn't shut down the Saints. Well, 3rd and 4th quarter, the second half, the Saints scored 0. So, yeah, they did. Now, Jameis Winston was in the ball game. Derek Carr was out. But if Jameis Winston won that football game, everyone would be crapping on the Packers defense. So I don't like that. Even if Jameis Winston was in that football game, I still give credit to the Packers. They shut them out the second half. So that deserves a lot of credit there. The other part of it, the PI calls that went the Packers' way late in the game. That's something that you cannot do. None of the Lions players, that's going to give them, you know, especially big chunks of yards that Jordan Love, when I watch back some of the plays too, like they were incompletions that turned into 20, 25-yard gains. So that's something the Lions secondary is going to have to be disciplined there. But Lucas, let me hear it from you. What do you think? Am I too high on Jordan Love?
I mean, you're not too high on him, but I'm not scared of no damn Jordan Love. There's about 4 or 5 other players on that offense that I'm scared of before Jordan Love, and that's, I guess, to your point. But at the same time, he's okay. He's also played against the Bears secondary, who looked phenomenal. Congratulations. He had to wait till the fourth quarter to get things going against the Saints, and their whole offense was just brain dead, so they were able to get good field position and capitalize off of it. And against the Falcons, who the Lions just beat, there were he's had multiple passes that could have easily been picked off that the receivers, or not the receivers, the DBs have just dropped. So I get Jordan Love has looked solid so far, but there's also been a lot of players around the league who have looked solid, and it's still week 4 of the NFL season.
Right. It's early.
I don't think Jordan Love's just going to be this absolute bum, but I don't think Jordan Love's going to be a guy that carries the Packers into a playoff run this year. They can maybe potentially make the playoffs, but I'm just not scared of Jordan. There's nothing about Jordan Love where I'm just like, uh-oh. Like he's semi-mobile.
Yep.
Not enough to scare me, especially when I think he's about the same mobility as Desmond Ridder. He's less mobile than Geno Smith. He doesn't have some cannon of an arm.
No.
And when he does, he has okay intermediate accuracy. Okay, doesn't scare me. His arm. There's nothing about Jordan Love that scares me. I'm sorry. There's things that he does solid, but again, like the defenses that he's been playing against, the Saints defense is straight, so I'll give him that. And they were giving that man work for 3 quarters.
100%.
The Bears.
Yeah, that I don't even want to take that into consideration. There.
And not to mention the Saints. If you talk about why the Lions' run game is so, if the Saints had Tony Jones and Kendre Miller as their running backs last week, so they were not able to run the ball. They were not able to keep Jordan Love off the field in that second half. I'm sorry, but I look at this Packers team almost as not an asterisk, but just a team that's like, okay, it's way too early to judge them because, in my opinion, they haven't played anybody yet. Like, there's been nothing to the Packers yet that I've been like, oh shit, besides Rashawn Gary.
And Coach Walk 37, the Saints missed a 43-yard field goal to go ahead with under a minute left. And that's true. And that's why but even for Jordan Love, to kind of go against your point there, because you said, I don't think he's going to be this guy that carries the Packers. I don't think he has to be. And I think they could still win games.
I think when you start getting into like big games, you're going to need that because the Packers, when you start playing the Philadelphias, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and
they're not on that level.
No,
they're
that's
not.
When you need a quarterback like Jordan Love to carry you, because when you look at it this game, like, yeah, Christian Watson's coming back. There's no way that he's going to get 100% of like a Christian Watson workload. He's coming back for the first time this season. You can probably say the same thing with Aaron Jones. And with this line being hurt, they're going to have to start at some point. The Packers are going to need to lead on Jordan Love, and if they do that, I like the odds. Jordan Love back there with A.J. Dillon.
Yeah,
don't be scared. I'm just telling you. Respect it maybe, but don't be scared.
It'll be a similar game plan, in my opinion, than what you did against the Falcons. Maybe he's a better quarterback than Ridder, but that run game comes first.
This team
Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, which they've shown the Lions, at least with Dan Campbell, with his regime now, with his football team, they've shut down the Packers' run game.
I think the Packers and the Falcons are very similar as far as how their teams
the game plan.
How they're That's why I think, and the fact that we just beat the Falcons, who the Packers lost to. Not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I think the Lions got a very, very healthy chance in this game.
Yeah, I like the Lions' chances this week. Like I said, I think it'll be a very similar game plan, but we shall see with Jordan Love, Aiden Hutchinson. If he does what he did last week, Jordan Love, he's going to get zero sleep the night before. He's going to get zero sleep. Let's go to break. We come back. We'll bring up the Pepsi Rookie of the Week and who's nominated. 2 Lions players. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I got to hear about our friends from Guardian Alarm.
Absolutely the best defense around. And let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Give them a call at 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks, or as always, check them out online at fairwaypacking.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. I love this comment. Hoop-hearted, YouTube, chat, get involved. He says, make Jordan Love throw, and when he hits your DBs in the hands, they got to actually catch the ball. That's the whole defensive game plan. It sounds pretty good.
With Brian Branch lurking out there, he's definitely going to make it difficult.
Hey, hoop hard. You looking for a job? Like, they need you on the defensive staff. That's expertise right there. Let's look at some of these rookies, man, because it seems like every day we have something new to talk about. Pepsi Rookie of the Week nominees. Look at that list. C.J. Stroud.
He's going to win it, too.
Devin Achane. Or Devon Achane, however you pronounce his name. Tank Dell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Marvin Mims Jr., who I actually like Marvin Mims Jr. a lot, and I'm glad he's making some noise over there with the Broncos. But out of the 6 players here, I mean, how many more rookie lists or rookie of the weeks or performances of the week do you see multiple Lions rookies on there? Like this is insane. And also the question I have for everybody. Brian Branch or Sam Laporta, do they deserve it over anybody else? Because I would argue that Achane had the game of his freaking life. 4 touchdowns. Like, if the award is not his, I don't know what's real or not anymore. I don't. But, Sam Flannel, what about you?
Multiple things can be true about this list. I'm obviously happy to see Sam Laporta and Brian Branch on it, and I could definitely see some more weeks where either one of those, or maybe even a Jahmyr Gibbs or Jack Campbell, could sneak onto this list. I will say this, though. Brian Branch, I would say he is just about as deserving as anyone else on this list. I mean, 11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections, being a leader of a defense that didn't allow a single touchdown to the Atlanta Falcons. I get it, Atlanta Falcons led by Desmond Ridder, but still an NFL team with weapons, especially in the backfield. And Brian Branch, he played the game of his life. I will say this, though. I respect the hell out of what Sam Laporta did and what he's done for this team in his first 3 games, getting off to a historic start for a rookie tight end. I wouldn't say he belongs on this particular list when it comes to as compared to the others. I don't think he was quite as impressive as his teammate Brian Branch. He wasn't as impressive as C.J. Stroud, who threw for 280 and 2 touchdowns in a 37-17 win at Jacksonville. He wasn't as impressive as Devon Achane, who rushed for over 200 yards and had 4 total touchdowns rushing and receiving combined. He doesn't deserve to be on it as much as Tank Dell, who had 145 yards receiving on 5 catches. And I would even argue, I know Marvin Mims, he did it all in a game in which they lost by 50, but he gave you 3 and 73 and a kickoff return for a touchdown. I would probably honestly, and this is no disrespect to Sam Laporta, Lucas, I've basically said that you might be right. This might be a guy who has... Right. You might be right.
I am right, Flannel.
He is on pace to have an 1,000-yard season as a rookie tight end, which has only been done twice by Mike Ditka and Kyle Pitts. But I don't think Sam Laporta belongs in this caliber of players this week because of the amount of great games you saw from the others. I would honestly probably slide in Jalen Carter over Sam Laporta. That's fair, right?
I would say Jalen Carter over Marvin Mims. Like, he had 3 catches for 73 yards.
He had a kickoff return.
And a kickoff return. And that, again, that's the big reason why he's there. But Jalen Carter had 2 forced fumbles and a sack, half a sack. Like, he wrecked that game by himself, but I get it. Sam Laporta is more deserving. 8 catches, 80-something yards, and a TD. Like, I don't know. That's my opinion. But if you think Sam Laporta is the one that would be squeezed off, then that's your opinion.
Is that crazy of a take, though? If Sam Laporta, and I know this is just kind of, it's just kind of splitting hairs a little bit. If Sam Laporta would have had 100 yards, I would probably say put him on this list. But you look at
12 more yards.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
he had 80, what? 5.
He had 84.
84.
And you know what? I get it that it sounds a little bit petty, but Tank Dell put up a $145 in a 37-17
yeah, but Marvin
win.
Mims, he had a nice game. I get he had a kick return, but his team got blown out. Sam Laporta was a crucial role in his team's win.
You know what? And you know what? I will grant you that.
Yeah, that's my Jalen Carter. That's kind of my Jalen Carter argument.
So we keep Laporta on. Insert Carter. Take off Mims.
Yes,
yeah.
but
take off Mims.
Marvin Mims though has just been so explosive early on
yes,
in his career.
I agree.
I love Marvin Mims, but yeah, I know that it obviously wasn't Marvin Mims' fault that his defense gave up 70 points. But when you lose a game by 50, I would say that even Marvin Mims would be like, even though I played great, throw that film in the trash. I don't care.
Well, he's the only person on this list who lost, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, what are we doing? Like everyone else
Get
won.
him off.
CJ Stroud and Tank. I mean that connection.
Put the Texans fullback who returned that kick on there.
But can we at least agree though that the rookies this week just look at all these performances?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, CJ Stroud, Devon Achane, does he have the lead amongst rookies in rushing yards now just off of one game? It's either him or Bijan Robinson. It's close. Tank Dell $145. I mean, Brian Branch, 11 tackles, all solo, 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass deflections. Marvin Mims, 3 for 73 and a 90 and a kickoff return for a touchdown. Sam Laporta with 8 and 84, putting himself on pace for an 1,000-yard rookie tight end season. It just shows that if you draft correctly, a lot of these rookies are ready to just go into the pros and just basically be contributors or even maybe stars right away. I'm looking at some of the guys on this list, and it's like Brian Branch, I could see him fighting for a Pro Bowl. CJ Stroud looks like the quarterback of the future. Tank Dell looks like he could be his number one option. It's either him or Nico Collins. And I'll tell you what, Lucas, Tank Dell and Nico Collins might make themselves a pretty good 1-2 tandem at wide receiver.
Not wrong.
Hey, I mean, I know you were high on Tank Dell. I was high on Nico Collins, and I was a lot higher on CJ Stroud than you, obviously. But you know, they're all shown out and they had a big win. But amongst all that, amongst all of these great performances by rookies, the fact that the Lions had 2 of the top 6 or top 7 of them speaks volumes to just how, and these are the second round draft picks. Like, that's what has been so crazy.
That's a great point.
That's what's been so crazy about this class so far. The first round draft picks, I would say Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, they've looked fine in spurts, but Sam Laporta and Brian Branch look like they could be stars as rookies.
Well, especially when you hear all the talk before the draft and after the draft, like, hey, there's only about, at least for Brad, 14 first-round players. There's 1 on here. Think about that. C.J. Stroud's the only first-round pick. Ugh. So even for a draft that wasn't deep, Tank Dell, Devon Achane, however you pronounce his name, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Marvin Mims, none of them first-round picks. So I think it speaks to the depth. Jack Campbell, people mentioning, is a DTWA Sports Talk. Jack Campbell is a bust.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
that's a little aggressive. I wouldn't say he's a bust. He's
Well,
coming along nicely. You know, you'd like him to play and make an impact early, but they have a pretty deep linebacker core, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna say he's a bust. Give him some more time there. Had a sack last week.
He's an on-ball linebacker who they lined up off the ball. He was playing the edge last week. Like, the fact that you saw Jack Campbell setting an edge and making a difference on it should make you very happy as a Lions fan, because he's doing things that they didn't even draft him to do. And his whole thing is, I think the fact that they're doing that, James Houston being out affected Jack Campbell a lot.
Well,
now he has to morph into another position. Learning middle linebacker as a rookie in the NFL, making all the reads, is hard enough to begin with. Now that the fact they're going to go, all right, we're going to need you to play Mike linebacker and Sam linebacker. That adds a lot onto it, so it's probably going to take him a little bit longer, just get everything going. I mean, Hutch, I don't know if you guys saw it. It was before the play. Campbell was lined up on the right side of the line of scrimmage. Hutch was like, what the fuck are you doing? And threw him to the other side. And the play went, and Campbell actually made a nice play, but it was just still, like, you got to let the kid sink in. It's way too early to be calling this dude a bust.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's the inconsistency for me. Like with Jahmyr Gibbs, it's, well, hold on, you can't call him a bust. Which I didn't say that, but that's the whole conversation. Give him more time. And then people are like, yeah, Jack Campbell's a bust. Like, what? It's like picking and choosing who you're giving time to. We should just give time to all these players.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, and this isn't, Jahmyr Gibbs had a very fine game. I would say we were all satisfied with the game he played as the number 1 running back. You look at the game that Devon Achane played. I get it, in a different system as kind of a sharing time with Raheem Mostert. You look at that and you're like, man, did we really need to draft a running back at number 12 when you can get better value with a guy like Devon Achane in a later round? I know that's a 1-game sample size, but running backs, a lot of times you can just step right into a system and dominate right away. It's a tale as old as time. It happens every year. Do I have to mention Tyler Algier and James Robinson and Alfred Morris? And I could go on and on and on. So if I were me, if I were anybody in the chat, I would say maybe there should be more questions about Gibbs, but it's too early. It's all 3 games into their career. And I wanted to mention something that Chuck Brewer said because it was actually really funny, talking about the Marvin Mims kickoff return. Sam, how many kickoff return chances did he get? He says LMAO. And yeah, when your defense gives up 70, you're going to be returning kicks a lot during a game. So Chuck, I will grant you that point.
100%. 313 Kurt says, nah, Gibbs would dominate on a Dolphins team.
Maybe.
He
would.
Yes. Okay, fine.
I was going to go there, but we kind of got to go to break. I was going to mention, like, that offense averaging 40 a game. Like, and of course, Devon Achane was a big part of that last week. But, man, when you got Tyreek, you got Waddle, you got that offense, how explosive it is. You got Mike McDaniel dying up plays. Like, there's too much going on. And so we'll see with Jameer. Plenty of games left. Anyone who overreacts to 3 games and calls anybody a bust, to me, is a little ridiculous.
Sure.
Remember the whole Hutch thing last year? Like, his first 3 games, people are like, was he worth the pick? It's like, and then look how his season ended.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But this is an every year thing. It's the NFL. Welcome to it. Let's go to break here. When we come back, we'll talk about Aiden versus Trayvon. Speaking of Aiden, and I want to bring up some interesting stats here. That it's kind of geeky stats, but I like it. It's going to be intriguing. I think the audience will like it a lot too. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at Big Boy, because burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. It's burger time. Try the best cheeseburger or their new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Listen, if you're craving chicken, they got that as well. And of course, they got dessert, Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake, or they got funnel cake fries. All that and more at Big Boy.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Company, official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan-grown, family-owned. Bad Boy mowers, tractors, STYL handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, Snow X plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Company has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing. Delivery your doorstep, and you can order at OutdoorEquipco.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Seriously, it means a lot to us here, a day away from Thursday Night Football, prime time. The Lions taking on the Packers. But we kind of talked about that earlier. And then tomorrow will be a largely, Packers versus Lions centered show. We're going to talk about all matchups, the game, give away our predictions. But right now, I want to kind of go back to Aiden Hutchinson in that draft class that he came out of. And Lucas, did you pull the graphic that? Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is. Oh my.
You do your job, Jeff.
And you'll do yours. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Isn't this crazy? Look at this. Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson, and they compared the alignments inside the offensive tackles versus outside the offensive tackles. Doesn't matter. Aiden blows them out in either stat. Like literally destroys him. Look at this. First one inside the offensive tackles. Trayvon Walker. 2 pass rush snaps inside the offense, on the inside. In the pressure rate 0.0. He's got a donut. And then you go to Aiden Hutchinson inside the offensive tackles, 15 pass rush snaps, 21.4% win rate, pressure rate. He's 10th. So think about it. When he plays inside, he's 10th in the league. Okay. Well, why don't we move him outside then? Oh yeah, I'll be 10th in the league again. That's how that works with Aiden Hutchinson. Outside the offensive tackles, look at the snaps, man. Like 57, over double for Trayvon Walker, and he's still 65th in the league for pressure rate. The number 1 overall pick. Trent Baalke, big measurables guy. Size, speed, athleticism.
Can play inside and outside.
Can play inside and outside.
Can play off the ball. He can even cover running backs.
Like, and this seemed to be an easy decision. Like when we talked about the draft, me and Adam, and I talked about Aiden, and we both agreed. Like, it's an easy decision. I know you felt that way too, Sam. Everybody thought he was going to go 1. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a given. I mean, everyone was planning for Trayvon or Kayvon Thibodeau, or, there's other players in consideration, a Sauce Gardner. And then you just see Trent Baalke be a bonehead and pass on the best player, and we all knew it, in that draft. And this stats, even for a guy too, that when he came out, it was what's his arsenal of pass rush moves? Is he a one-trick pony? The arm size and all that BS, and people making an argument for Kayvon Thibodeau. And to be honest, I was one of those people that said if Aiden was gone, I guess you go Kayvon there. Sure. You needed an edge rusher, but no, Aiden, the best player in the draft class, fell right into your lap. And Brad Holmes, being the great general manager, I would say as of right now, he is. Some of these decisions, Sam, aren't hard. You don't have to overthink them. Like, I think and sometimes I have that problem too. I overthink decisions and you end up making the wrong decision when really it was never a hard decision. Aiden Hutchinson was always the pick at number 1. Thank the Lord for Trent Baalke for fucking that up.
Hutchinson should not have been the number 1 overall pick. His arms, they weren't long enough to get off blocks. He wouldn't be able to shed blocks at the NFL level because his arms were too short. He didn't have the wingspan of Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau. So that's why. Not because Trayvon Walker was some specimens, because Aiden Hutchinson's arms are too short.
Continue, Sam.
No, I mean, and we all know that Aiden Hutchinson, he was just kind of a hard worker. He didn't really have that ceiling. We all knew that he would be a solid player at least.
But that's bullshit too.
It was bullshit.
I hate that. Yeah. I hate that. Because you're so right, Sam. The biggest thing about Aiden was his ceiling. What? He has higher. You think, what does the ceiling look like now? That's my question.
Well, it looks like Aiden Hutchinson with 11.5 sacks and Trayvon Walker with 4.5. And you look at this, I'm not going to lie, and I don't want to dig too much dirt on the Trayvon Walker grave right now because it's still early in his career. It could still improve. But I'm looking at that inside the tackles, and I see a 0% pressure rate. That is, I would say...
0.0. Sam, you and Trayvon have the same impact lining up inside the offensive tackles. You and him have the same pressure rate.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
I mean, I should congratulate myself. And I mean, that's just by the numbers. Yes, I am.
And I'm not saying he's a bust, but that's disappointing.
Well, and even you look at the outside pressure rate, and I get it. Trayvon Walker had more pass rush snaps in that formation, but what was the thing about Trayvon Walker coming out? That speed. He just has all that pass rush arsenal. He's got that ceiling. He's faster than Aiden Hutchinson. He's a guy that you can go off the edge and he'll just wreck quarterbacks, especially on the blind side. And I haven't seen it from Trayvon Walker. I have seen it from Aiden Hutchinson. And I'll tell you what, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I know that they're one of the teams coming into the year. They finished off the season great last year. They made the playoffs. They look like they were up and coming. A decision like picking Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson could set this franchise back.
Yeah.
Because what do a lot of the best teams in the NFL have in common? They have a dominant edge rusher or a dominant rusher of the quarterback in general.
Yes.
You look at the Chiefs with Chris Jones. You look at the Eagles with multiple guys. Hassan
Every
Reddick
great defense does.
Absolutely. And you look at the 49ers with Nick Bosa. You even look at the Cincinnati Bengals last year with Trey Hendrickson. He's not as good as the other guys, but still.
He was going off on Sunday night.
Absolutely.
Or was it Monday night?
It was Monday night. And that's the thing. They all have that guy. And I know that, I guess the Jacksonville Jaguars technically have Josh Allen, and it looks like they could still be a team that could win that division this year. But just imagine if the Jacksonville Jaguars would have made the right decision, which would have hurt the Lions, by the way, and drafted Aiden Hutchinson. You would have an edge rushing duo bookend of Josh Allen and Aiden Hutchinson. I firmly believe, and I said this before, and I know this sounds like a little bit of hyperbole, the Jacksonville Jaguars would have had a shot in that playoff game at Arrowhead if they would have had Aiden Hutchinson instead of Trayvon Walker because they were in that game. That defense allowed a 99-yard drive to Chad Henne and Isaiah Pacheco.
100%.
That defense basically not like hampered or injured Patrick Mahomes early on in the game, and Patrick Mahomes was essentially playing on one leg. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, even when you're up and coming, even when it looks like you're a team on the rise, even when you make some good decisions drafting like Tyson Jackson and Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, you're still going to Jaguar. And they did that, and they made a colossal mistake. And thank you so much. Thank you to the Jacksonville Jaguars for gifting the Detroit Lions Aiden Hutchinson, a future All-Pro. And I'll tell you what, that 15-sack season is still on the table. Trayvon Walker's not even going to get 5.
I would love to see those numbers compared to James Houston, too.
Oh, it's
like
yeah.
I bet they would have been close.
Well, here's the interesting thing about this whole discussion is Trayvon Walker, and you talked about if Aiden was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what Aiden would have if he was in Jacksonville?
What would he have?
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
On the other side of him. Like, and I'm gonna bring that up once again, guys, because I got crapped on for using that in comparing it with Neil Rule. Booner was on my side. I'll give him that. But people don't understand the impact of having that dude across from you. Like Aiden, when he had Houston last year, he got better. I'm not saying it's not on Aiden as well, but it helps to have another guy that can, attract a double team. It happens like that. And Trayvon has Josh Allen. Kayvon Thibodeau has Dexter Lawrence. Like, that's real. And even for these rates, too, like in Booner, love you, Boone. He said, thank you, Jeff. And by the way, for Booner's point earlier, I want to bring this up. He says, I would like to say that the Trayvon Walker versus Hutch comparison should officially be dead going forward. And Kayvon, disrespectful to Hutch to be compared to the other guys in that draft. Yeah, I mean, for real. Jake says, shows why Leftwich didn't want to coach with Balke there. That's fair, too. Hoof-hearted. Trent Balke pulling a Brandon Katz on trade day and taking Walker over Hutch. Yeah, that you're not wrong. Mike Bell, we didn't know that Trayvon couldn't perform in a different defense. Yeah, I mean, part of that, yes, is how the defensive coordinator utilizes him. But Mike Bell, you would agree with that point, though. Like, having Josh Allen does help him, and Aiden Hutchinson had Houston, it helped him. But even Aiden right now, no Houston. What did he do last game? Wrecked the football game.
He did.
Others stepped up, but Aiden is that dude. Like, imagine Aiden with a Dexter Lawrence. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's crazy. Like, Aiden is by far the best player. We knew that then. We know that now.
Yes, and if you want me to just go a little bit further on in terms of the, I would say Trayvon Walker, and I'll even go with Kayvon Thibodeau on this one. Slander, but it's not slander because they've earned it at this point.
I hate Kayvon Thibodeau.
You know what? And so you're going to like this a lot. So right now amongst edge rushers, I know that we can take PFF with a grain of salt if you want. Aiden Hutchinson is currently the 15th ranked edge rusher according to PFF, which I'd like him to get that a little bit higher, but I think he will. And he still has a very, very good PFF grade, and I think he'll be consistent. You have to go way down the list to see where Trayvon Walker is at. I'm looking at it right now. Trayvon Walker is currently the 90th ranked edge rusher according to PFF with a grade of 54.8, just behind superstars like Dylan Horton, Zach Harrison, Kingsley Enagbare, Yitter Gross-Matos, Zaven Collins, Malik Herring, Tyquan Lucas.
Yeah, it's bad.
Superstars right
it's
there.
Bad.
Arden Key, Nick Bonito, guys like that.
Nick Bonito.
And if you want to go even farther down the list, and this is what had me basically like cackling, key, laughing. Kayvon Thibodeau this season, are you ready for this? Are you guys sitting down? Is currently the 110th ranked edge rusher according to PFF out of a possible 112. And you know who's just right behind him? Another guy that some Lions fans wanted to take, Tyree Wilson. Kayvon Thibodeau.
Tyree Wilson is so bad.
He is so bad. But Kayvon Thibodeau is in that same company this year as a second-year player, coming off of a season last year in which he was actually pretty good. And Kayvon Thibodeau, his PFF grade is 36.6, which is absolutely morbid. It's less than half of what Aiden Hutchinson's is, just behind guys like Jihad Ward, Michael Hecht, Rasheem Green, Yaya Diaby, Jerry Hughes, Darrell Taylor, and Dominique Robinson of the Chicago Bears, their 2021 fifth-round draft pick. So, and I take a lot of pleasure in doing this because I was a big-time Aiden Hutchinson guy coming into the 2022 draft. I am so glad that the Lions have him and they don't have Kayvon Thibodeau and Trayvon Walker, who seem to have both regressed this year, while Aiden Hutchinson is only getting better and he's coming off his best game of the season. Bravo, Brad Holmes. Bravo, Detroit Lions. And bravo to you, Aiden Hutchinson, and suck it, Kayvon Thibodeau and Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Doesn't mean, again, and this is 2 years through the career, Aiden's the best player out of the bunch. Now, they have long careers. We'll see how it develops. I know for a fact, though, with your point about Kayvon, one thing that always kind of made me hesitant and why I wouldn't mind a Sauce Gardner, because you look at it now, he's that dude, is Kayvon, it was always like, does he have more passion for things outside of football? Does he love the game, or does he love what the game brings him? You know what I mean?
And as stupid as that sounds, like, oh, the guy he's a talented athlete. Like, that sounds nice, whatever. But when you start getting millions of dollars and you are in New York of all places, and you have distractions left and right, that's when you got to worry about, okay, is this player now going to start looking at more business opportunities off the field instead of his business opportunity on the field?
Well,
and that's what Aiden Hutchinson never have to worry about once. Never once.
It's like it's a similar mold there, like Aiden, Jack Campbell, guys that just live and breathe ball.
Dogs.
Football, baby. And for this stat too, I thought this was interesting. The Lions Fan Report tweeted this out. And if you think about it, crazy to think about, Aiden Hutchinson has 9 more pressures than Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau combined. 9 more.
That's unbelievable.
Aiden's tied with TJ Watt in pressures. And I know pressures, if you prefer sacks, but pressures, I mean, Aaron Glenn mentioned it, still affects quarterbacks. Walker has 6, Thibodeau has 4, Hutch has 19. Look at sacks. Each of those guys, Kayvon, Trayvon, 1 sack, Aiden 2. He has as much sacks as both of them combined, and 9 more pressures. 9 more pressures than both of them combined, with less defensive line help around him. That's key right there. That's key.
And if you go about their whole careers, their rookie season plus these 3 games, Aiden Hutchinson has 11.5 sacks, and Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau combined have 9.5. I mean, what else do we need to say at this point? And as I mentioned early on, Kayvon Thibodeau, I actually will say that he showed a lot of promise last year. He played pretty well when he was in there, and at times, in very small stretches, he was dominant. But it looks like Kayvon Thibodeau is disinterested and has regressed. Trayvon Walker has pretty much, besides for a few moments last year, which he played well, has pretty much always been a very mid-level player. He's never really ever been that #1 overall pick. So like I said earlier, the Jacksonville Jaguars, we should be sending them Christmas gifts every single year for gifting us Aiden Hutchinson. And you know what? Having a guy like Trayvon Walker instead of Aiden Hutchinson, as I said before, imagine if the Jacksonville Jaguars actually don't win this division this year.
I know. I would be.
Yes.
Well, I would be sad because I had some confidence in the Jags. Really, Trevor Lawrence, I did, and he's not looking too great right now. Drafted him in fantasy, and now I've already started Herbert, and we're done with Lawrence. It's over. It is over. Mike Bell, he says, why do we spend so much time on revisionist history? Well, I only do it, Mike, when it fits my narrative. No, I love you, Mike. I'm just kidding. He says, we play the biggest game of the season tomorrow, gang. True. And we're going to spend a lot of time. See, I didn't want to get to the breakdown today. We have a lot to get to. It'll probably be a good hour and a half of just Lions-Packers tomorrow. So I want to have some fun today and have some conversations because I saw that and I thought it was super interesting. Kind of puts into perspective. And I love going back and looking at some draft classes. I don't do it after 3 games typically, but after now over a year and a half, it's fun to look back. We'll go on a break here. We come back. We'll talk about some college football here. Deion Sanders, Colorado, Michigan, Sam Flannel. Talk about J.J. McCarthy a little bit and much more. But first, I got to hear about our friends over at Swiss Insurance.
Absolutely. Do you have football on the brain? Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this year is going to be awesome. Fall is also a perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call them at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Dick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Just in time for football. I love that drop. Glorious Cannabis is dropping a new ice water, speaking of drop, ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good. It's like the whiff of the first playoff win in over 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in honor of Detroit football. If you haven't had one of these, it's smooth. You're missing out. Find them at Dispo Dispensary for 25% off. Use code Woodward Glorious or visit www.gloriouscanna.com.
Glorious.
That is electric.
It's perfect.
Is that actually a part of the? Is that linked directly with Glorious Cannabis?
No, it's not. It's from wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'm just uninformed. But regardless, you're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We got a lot of people joining us this morning. It's much appreciated. Don't forget, hit the like button. It does support the network. It supports us. It supports the algorithm for the show. Let's get to some college football here. And by the way, if you can't catch the show live, we're on all podcast platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Leave a 5-star review for the Morning Woodward Show. Boys would much appreciate it. I wanted to add this conversation. Jesse, I know you're in the chat. Jesse Adams, all right? And you've been calling me out this week about the Prime losing to Oregon. And I say Prime, but it should say Colorado. I don't know why I always speak like he's the entire team. But regardless, Colorado's lost to Oregon. I want to talk about that for a second because it seems like, and Sam, me and you kind of had a little dispute about it, but I want to get into it a little longer today because it seemed like everybody took a big victory lap after he lost to Oregon. And let me just say this. The clip I saw of the Colorado
I'm about
players.
to play it right now if you want me to.
Okay, let's see this and then we'll react to it.
Give me like 5 more seconds.
So when I saw this clip, it put into context, like, yeah, some of the players for Colorado got a little too big for the britches, got a little cocky. Like some of the actions, and put some of that on Dion, because I think for the most part, those players have been pretty respectful, pretty solid. But now it's getting to the point where even 3-0 kind of got to the players' heads. And maybe that's on Dion to not keep them level-headed. I think that's part of it. But the other part for Dion, like, this is a man who has yet to disrespect anybody. He comes into Colorado, overturns a program that won 1 game last year and lost by the most points in all of college football. Week to week, Colorado had the biggest point differential every week. They were terrible, awful. In the first year Dion gets there, they're 3-0. They have an upset against TCU, which that was a little, TCU wasn't quite what they were last year, but regardless, everyone expected him to lose that game on the road. Shadur looked fantastic. And then I think it kind of caught up to him because one thing that at least I knew about Colorado is they're terrible up front. They threw in some good skill position players. They got no offensive line. They got no defensive line. It takes years to build that. It does. And even in the Pac-12, there really isn't much out there. Oregon and their defensive line is something different, and in their offensive line. And they finally faced a team that's just much superior to Colorado. So I'm not going to sit here and take a victory lap. I think people who are doing that, it's a little out of pocket. I get, and you have the clip now?
Yeah.
And I get, there's reasoning behind people having a vendetta against Colorado. And check out the players, man, how they acted on Oregon's home field.
Everybody's tired of hearing about Colorado. No question. And that's going to show up on the football.
The Cinderella story is over, man.
It's pretty good.
Does that all mean something to you? Does that all mean something to you? Yeah, I sure as hell means something to me.
Hey, I'd like to report a crime to the murder to these ducks.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you deserve an ass beating. Like,
dude, if I was warming up before a game and there was some other dude just standing over my shoulder, I'd be freaking out. Shout out to Oregon for being able to hold their composure.
Yeah, that's okay. Is this JB? What the hell, JB?
You can thank me later.
Thank me later.
He says just checking if y'all still believe in primetime. I do, for long term. In year one, this year, are they a team that's going to make the college football playoff? Hell no. They're not even a, top 4 team, top 3 team in the Pac-12?
No.
Hell no.
No.
They're not, so, again,
No.
okay. Why? Why do you got to do that? Why do you got to do that? Why are you doing that? Okay. Here I am. How you doing? Thank you. All right. Now I'm shook. What just happened? JB, that was smooth, by the way. But that's my whole thing on Colorado, Sam, is, yeah, they lost. Okay. Does it completely derail what Colorado's building? No. Do I have confidence that Prime's going to turn Colorado into a pretty damn good program in a couple of years? I do.
Oh, sure. And you know what? Maybe yesterday I might have been just a little bit out of pocket, kind of shoveling a little bit of dirt on the Colorado tombstone. But here's the thing. When you see that video, the Colorado players, they were talking a lot of smack, and the media was giving them a lot of attention. They're pretty much the most talked about team in college football right now. And they did not just take an ass whooping. That first half in which Oregon got up on them 35-0 and completely dominated them in a way in which it looked like varsity versus JV. Yeah, that might have been a little bit of humble pie for Colorado that they needed. And that's kind of the thing. You look at one thing that bothered me with the whole Colorado and Oregon narrative was that pregame speech that Dan Lanning, Oregon's coach, gave to his team to kind of fire them up, talk about how it's like they want clicks, we're going for wins, the Cinderella story is over. That is actually perfectly fine to do. He was firing up his team. He was motivating his team. He wanted to kind of fire up his team that was more physical, had more of a presence up front, which was a better team with established winners. Just imagine this. And people were actually kind of demonizing him for it, which is so soft, it's like Charmin tissue. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine if Deion Sanders was on camera talking about how, Oregon, they think they're the big dogs. We're going to go in there and show them about Colorado football. And then they ended up winning. The media would be like, oh my God, Deion Sanders with the greatest motivational speech of all time.
Yeah.
He's a hero. It's Jesus Sanders right there. And Shedeur Sanders, he's basically Patrick Mahomes and Jesus if they had a love child. That's the thing that drove me a little bit crazy. It's like, when you beat them, you're not allowed to criticize them. If you give a motivational speech as a coach, you're almost not allowed to do that because it's mean to Colorado. That's the type of stuff that I don't like. When you become the untouchable and you haven't done nothing, that always bothers me. It just eats at my core, and I can't just let it stand. I'm sorry.
And that's fair. For the people out there who actually believe Colorado is going to beat Oregon, like these two people, Mike Bell, and I agree with Mike and Ryan. Mike Bell says no one actually expected Colorado to beat Oregon. I know the people you watched did, but I don't know who that was specifically. I know some shows maybe talked about it, but at least the people I've talked to, it was pretty obvious. Oregon is a fine program. They were going to whoop Colorado. I thought they'd keep it somewhat competitive. I didn't think they'd lose by 30, 40 points, but I didn't think they could go to Oregon and beat Oregon. That's big. And Mike Bell, he says Colorado's players' confidence is what led to them being 3-0. And then you have Ryan's reaction. There wasn't a chance they were beating Oregon, LOL. And then Jesse Adams says, facts, Sam. So he agrees with you. And that's the thing about this. Deion caught a lot of people's emotions, by what a presence he is. And I think people get offended by that. Even Dan, his speech, by the way, Dan's speech before
that shit was gas.
It was.
I don't care what anybody says.
And let me
I'm a Deion supporter, but that shit was gas.
Yes, 100%. I'm not going to come. Again, you fire up your players however you want to fire them up. The only thing I didn't like about that is the whole, they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins.
That's how,
I mean, they want to win, dude. I don't know. Playing for clicks, really?
You're allowed to motivate your team any way you want,
got
Jeff.
a camera.
Any way you want, Jeff.
Playing for clicks, but you got a fucking camera crew in the locker room, buddy. All right. I'm filming your pregame speech. You're getting clicks. And they posted it.
But you know what? Oregon went out there and waxed them, beat their ass, 42-6. It was never even close. So obviously that speech worked. Obviously Oregon was a little bit peeved that Colorado was getting all this attention for not doing jack, doing nothing. And I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of people were kind of giving them a lot of credit for winning at home against Colorado State in double overtime. And I kind of said that there was a little bit of cause for pause. I know that they knocked Travis Hunter out of the game, and Travis Hunter is their best player, no doubt about it. But they were acting all high and mighty after beating a bad Colorado State team in double overtime at home, and it required a 2-minute drive at the end led by Shedeur Sanders. This Colorado team is not that good. And yes, Chuck Brewer, thank you. You backed me up. There were a lot of people saying that Colorado was going to win. You got people even at this network like Parker who were talking like they could go to the college football playoff. Colorado got a little bit too ahead of their skis. Are they going to be fine moving forward? Sure. But we can't just act like Colorado is coming in and coaching this same roster of 1-11 players. It's easier to win when you bring in Shedeur Sanders, when you bring in Travis Hunter, when you bring in Shiloh Sanders, when you bring in Xavier Weaver, when you bring in Jimmy Horn Jr., when you bring in Alton McCaskill, who actually, the Houston transfer, who actually played his first game, and a guy like Dylan Edwards, a freshman, is balling out. It's easier when you actually get players. He's not just some coaching mastermind. It's more about like his recruiting.
Sam, I get that 100%. But you're acting like he's bringing in, and by the way, Travis Hunter, damn good player. You saw the impact when he was there.
Phenomenal.
Shedeur Sanders, you brought Shiloh. Like, no offense, but Shiloh's okay. He's not like.
Fair. That's
so
fine.
You're acting like this guy's bring in Caleb Williams, bring in Will Anderson, bring in Brian Branch. Like these guys, dude. Like Jimmy Horn, you brought up seriously.
Xavier Weaver's gonna have a 1,000-yard season. Jimmy Horn Jr. might too.
Now with Shedeur, they're playing well, but I checked them before where they came from. Like they were all right. Listen, and I'm not trying to crap on any of the players. They got some talent over there, but you act like they turned the entire roster. They brought in a lot of skill position players and maybe some guys on the defensive line. But that offensive line is cheeks.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to defend. I'm just stating facts. Like, it's year one. Anybody who thought Colorado was going to go far or win a ton of games, you're on crack. Go to Dispo. Go to Dispo. Get some marijuana. Relax. Take a deep breath. Come back at it tomorrow. And then look at the roster. That's what I would suggest to you. But regardless, how about those Michigan Wolverines, Sam Flannel? What's going on?
They won 31-7.
How about that first half? Last two games.
You know what drives me?
It's been some nail biters, Sam Flannel.
Do you know what drives me absolutely crazy? Somehow, some way, people try to almost like give me a victory lap or get a victory lap against me because Michigan only won their first 4 games by 24, 25, 27, and 28. Ooh, Michigan is done. Michigan, they don't look as dominant as they're supposed to. And I get it. In a lot of ways, they have it. Donovan Edwards hasn't gotten going yet, which I would say is concerning, but it also isn't as concerning because Blake Corum has been going off. J.J. McCarthy has been just fine.
Okay.
Other than that Bowling Green
That's my
game.
problem, though. He's just fine. He's the same quarterback he was last year. He's just fine.
22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
That's fine numbers.
Yeah, being responsible.
That ain't
for
a number
4
one overall pick.
I never said he was the number 1 overall pick.
That's not for you.
Yes.
But that's not a first round pick.
Yes, it is. He's a first round pick.
Okay.
He's a first-round pick right now. And why is
Bowling
everybody
Green,
using this time to just basically say now that J.J. McCarthy's terrible or something like that? They're 4-0. They went to the college football playoff last year, and it wasn't all because of him. Obviously, he had a great running game and a great defense, but he did more than enough. This J.J. McCarthy, and I get it, when a guy like Ryan Ermanni comes up here and goes too far the other way, which he did, I don't agree that he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, and he's certainly not going to New York, at least the way that they use him at
that's
Michigan.
over. The New York stuff is
100%
over.
But this idea that you can now just like shift all the way to the other side, basically acting like he's no different than Cade McNamara. Have you seen those numbers he's been having this year? Cade McNamara is a bum.
Yeah, he's
like he's no different than Shea Patterson. Like he's no different than Wilton Speight. Like he's no different than Jake Rudock and stuff like that. That's where I have a problem. That's the type of shit that drives me like insane.
Well, some of those guys you brought up, talent-wise, I agree, but the numbers, I mean, it's not like, JJ's tearing up college football, and he didn't do it last year. So, and the talent's there, I agree with you. I'm not going to go that far and say he's in the same realm as Cade McNamara. That's ridiculous. But what I am saying is, Sam, your confidence level when you do take on a Penn State, when you do take on Ohio State, who actually had a good win, and I talked about it last week, getting tested early on in the season, that matters. They went to Notre Dame. They went to South Bend, Indiana. What?
That game was so stressful to watch.
I know, but they went. But Lucas, and I'll go to you on this. They went to South Bend, Indiana, played a tough team, and they left. They got better after that game. They got better. You think Michigan gets better blowing out Rutgers?
As an Ohio State fan, am more worried walking out of that game than I am confident.
Oh, stop it.
I'm saying compared to like when Notre Dame, very, very good upper echelon program, but they're not up there. Like I'm taking Michigan over Notre Dame. I'm taking the Georgias of the world, USC. I'm taking all of them over Notre Dame. That's not saying that Notre Dame's bad. Like Notre Dame is a very good team this year, especially with Sam Hartman. But Ohio State could have very easily walked out there with a loss, and not to mention Notre Dame had 10 on the field, and Ryan Day then goes out there as Lou Holtz. He gets shut. Lou Holtz is 88 damn years old. He's in the stand trying to have a good time. He's basically on life support. He's a Notre Dame slap. He's probably the best coach of all time. So yeah, he's going to say some good stuff about Notre Dame compared to Ohio State. But what he was saying is Ohio State is pretty soft. And after watching that, on the offensive side, I agree. Defense impressed me. But Ohio State's offense, that was a scary game to watch, especially the play calling. Like as an Ohio State fan, that game, normally Ohio State goes out there and lays an egg on Notre Dame and kind of shows like, all right, there's still a clear level here. Notre Dame, for 55 minutes of that game, I think was the better team.
100%.
Like, that's why I don't...
And even besides Ryan Day and his bonehead play calling, you still found a way to win on the road in South Bend.
Ryan
college
Day is still there.
Yeah, no, he stinks. And that's another thing. That's a whole other conversation. Not you get what I mean. What are you going to say?
No, it's just...
He doesn't stink, but he's just not he's not a coach that's going to be able to take Ohio State from who's right now under Michigan. Like, Ryan Day is not the guy to put Ohio State back as, like, the team.
Yeah, winning,
he's not the guy.
Winning national championships.
Yeah, he's just not.
No.
It's Brian Hartline time.
Yeah, and people kind of going back and forth in the chat, right? Notre Dame's not good. They're good. I think Notre Dame's a good team. I don't think they're... This is the thing I talk about with college football. A lot of parity, which I enjoy. And that's why Michigan, like, typically in like last year, for example, wasn't that deep. So even Michigan right now with how they're playing, you could say, well, they're always a top 2, top 3 team. Like right now, you can make an argument. Washington's playing well. Like there's a lot of teams you could put in that upper echelon. Like Michigan, we'll see. I just think the last two games you're watching those close halves, and it sounds like Michigan every year. It's just close halves, and then you blow them out in the second half. But we'll see. They're going to get tested at Penn State.
Well, yeah.
I think they should win that football game, but we'll see.
And many things can be true. Has Michigan looked as dominant as I would like for them to
in the
have
first
looked?
half? No.
No, and that is 100% fine. It's just that why are we basically pointing and laughing at a 4-0 team that's probably going to go to the college football playoff? Especially a lot of your guys' fan bases, which are basically poverty right now. Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State, by the way, everyone on that team just quit. They're done.
I know. And for the record, I know a lot of people, like even Spencer Raxter, are going to be like, that's a loser's mentality. Why are you comparing Michigan to Michigan State? I'm not. Here's what I'm doing. I'm pointing and laughing at Michigan State and their trash-ass program after they just fired their coach because of a scandal. I'm allowed to do that, you know. You're allowed to say that Michigan basketball didn't make the tournament last year and I have to just shut my fucking mouth. You Michigan State fans have to shut your mouth now during football season. Is that fair? Do we have a compromise? Can we find some common ground? You better.
I think it's fair to say that Michigan State has too much going against them right now, that they just need to pack up this season and just chalk it up as a loss. Like, don't even play the rest of the games because you're not winning anything.
Save yourself the money.
You know who
honestly.
I feel bad for? The Michigan State players, man. Like, that's a terrible situation to be in. Like, Mel Tucker not being there, the media tearing him apart, and then you have players that have to still show up who committed to Mel Tucker that he is no longer a part of the program. It's a disaster.
Got Noah Kim throwing the rock. It's brutal up there. It's brutal up in East Lansing right now.
And then you're watching, Keon Coleman just absolutely light it up at Florida State. Whew, it's a tough one. We'll go to break here. When we come back, we'll have a little discussion here, and then, of course, get to what's trending with Lucas. But first, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness because, guys, Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anybody, and I mean anybody, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. I'll tell you what, at Planet Fitness, you can experience a squeaky clean gym. And for more information, as you join today, visit Planet Fitness at www.planetfitness.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
Any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists, and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests, for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Brand new state-of-the-art sports dome field house. There's a regulation basketball court and much more. Listen, you enroll your child today, you get tons of benefits for them, including academic games, futuristic media center, small classroom sizes for ideal learning, and much more. All you got to do, they're accepting new enrollment. Go to academywarren.net. Sign your child up right now. Welcome back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Good show today. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun, too, man. Talking about that game. I can't wait for the pregame show. I'm fired up. I'm gonna be wired tomorrow. We're going from sun up to sundown. That's how we're operating, man. That's how we're operating. I want to read some of these comments before we get to what's trending with Lucas. Because there are some funny comments coming in now. And I want to read this one. And let's see here. Joe says, I love Ryan Day. I hope he stays forever, LOL. Meaning, again, for your guys' sake.
For Ohio State or for Michigan fans?
For Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan fans, I'm sure they do hope Ryan Day stays.
And look at this. Coach Walk says, Notre Dame isn't that good, seriously.
Notre Dame is very solid.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're bad. I mean, they didn't play great, but Notre Dame, man, I like Marcus Freeman.
I like Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, I do.
Sam Hartman's a very solid quarterback.
Yeah.
They have one of the best rushing attacks in the college football.
Who would you take, J.J. McCarthy or Sam Hartman?
Right now, as a pro prospect, McCarthy. As a college quarterback, Sam Hartman.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
For now.
Let's see. Mike Bell. I wonder if Jeff watched the highlights from the Atlanta game where Gibbs was running through Philly-type holes. Pause. Good pause on that, Mike Bell. Yeah, 100%. And again, you're referencing the whole DeAndre Swift thing. And by the way, no one's denying Swift's talent. And I said that. Like, the guy's talented. My question mark was always the inconsistency in him not being healthy. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, all good things come to an end. Wasn't really a great thing, but it came to an end. DeAndre Swift's in Philly. And I know, Mike, you're a fan of him, and I respect that because I was high on Swift, too. You thought he'd lead the NFC in rushing last year.
I did.
Like, this isn't we don't just hate on Swift, but the facts are the facts. He's I think he's with a better offensive line. That's factual. It's not by much, but it's better. And DeAndre Swift's having a great year, man. He is. Like, he'll probably go for 1,000 if he keeps that usage up and he stays healthy. Yeah. That's the key, staying healthy.
Yes, I said yesterday that I think he is going to get 1,000 yards for the Eagles this year, but he also might miss a couple of games. It's just at the pace he's on right now, despite basically doing nothing in the first game, he's on pace for over 100 yards a game. If you can if you can front load those yards to maybe make up for a game you might miss, you might still get 1,000. But the reality is, you talk about all good things must come to an end, or all very, very mediocre and disappointing things like DeAndre Swift's Lions career must come to an end as well. All things can be true. He might have a career year in Philadelphia, but in Detroit, he was a disappointment. His career high in rushing yards for a season was 617.
Goodfella says Emmanuel Forbes is having a good start as well.
Yeah, he is.
That's my guy.
Hey.
Loved him. Coming out, you guys know that. Did like a 5-minute breakdown. It's still on Woodward Clips. You can check that out. But yeah, Emmanuel Forbes having a good season over there. A lot of players that we kind of talked about, man. And a lot of talent coming out of this draft. And I talked about that earlier, more than many people expected. Like 14 first-round players, but hey, Emmanuel Forbes wasn't considered by some a first-round player, and he went in the first round. Look, what about this question? Jesse asks, Sam Flannel. You know there will be 4 to 6 quarterbacks drafted ahead of JJ if he comes out this year, right? I can make better ones. I can name better ones than him right now.
All right, so you got Caleb Williams, Penix, probably Drake May, who also isn't doing that great this year, by the way. I'm trying to think of
he'll still be.
Yep.
Bo Nix is
If he keeps balling,
he's balling.
Shedeur possibly, and I'm just naming. I'm not saying these are guarantees.
Yeah.
Shedeur, Jackson Dart's not going to be. I don't think.
No. And that's kind of what I've been saying about J.J. McCarthy is people want to kind of bury him a little bit too soon. But when you look at the quarterback play across the nation, I mean, there's a lot of great guys like Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Shedeur Sanders, Drake May, Bo Nix. I mean, you could go on. Even a guy like Dylan Gabriel in Oklahoma is having a damn good
Quinn
year.
Ewers I like too.
Quinn Ewers, that's what I was going to ask. Can Ewers declare this year?
I believe so.
Is he?
If Ewers can declare, he will definitely.
Is he a junior this year?
McCarthy.
Oh, because he did enroll early. I remember that at Ohio State. Because he missed his senior year.
Imagine letting Quinn Ewers walk out of the fucking room. Shout out Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Shout him out. Shout him out. He's such a good coach.
Well, you also let Joe Burrow walk out of there. But anyway,
But keep Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Make sure we keep them. And let's not figure out who we can start for the first 3 weeks. Fucking Ryan Day.
Let's go to break. Let's get to what's trending with Lucas. We'll do that really quickly. Thanks for sticking with us. We kind of went over on the 9:30 segment, so it is what it is. Got into some good conversations there. But first, let me tell you about our friends over at Randy Wise, guys, because listen, you get to see athletes like Jim Harbaugh, Darren McCarty, or Braylon Edwards play golf with average Joes. Well, thanks to Randy Wise Automotive, you'll be able to do just that. It's his Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Make the wise choice. Pay attention to Woodward Sports for more information on that very soon.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win the $100K Vegas getaway at drinkcentron.com/Vegas and buy Centron at your local Meijer store. Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste and a choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best version of themselves. Once again, that is drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
You know what time it is. It's 9:40. If you got a watch, check it. If you're by a clock, check it. It's time for What's Trending with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
All righty, fellas. We talk about Brian Branch a lot, but I saw this play from him, and it blew my mind because we all know how smart and how instinctive a football player Brian Branch is, but this play shows you just how athletic he is as well.
Here's this Brian Branch rookie again out of Alabama. Watch him against Kyle Pitts. He's going to shut down this play. Little roll to the right. Look at that. Look at that vertical. Reaching up there, tipping that ball away, getting it over the outstretched arms of Kyle Pitts. Look at it one more time here. Brian Branch, great job undercutting this.
He's just a specimen, and I had this conversation with Easy last night. I understand there's the quells about Jalen Carter, but if you can get an all-pro safety, which I think Brian Branch will be, for years to come, and a guy who I think will never be a locker room distraction ever. He's only going to be a positive having the
100%.
locker room. That is something that allows you to get over the, oh, we didn't take Jalen Carter. But you know what? You got Tyrann Mathieu in the back there, and they can go find somebody that's equivalent to Jalen Carter up there. So I want to just, your overall thoughts on what Brian Branch can mean to this team and where you think he will be.
I think it's hard in the NFL to find a guy like Jalen, Quinnen, Williams, Dexter, like a great 3-tech, like somebody that it just consistently draws double teams. But to your point, Lucas, about Brian Branch, like you are correct.
And my thing is like and I'm not saying nothing that what you just said is wrong. Like it is hard to find a Jalen Carter, Quinnen Williams, but it's equally as hard to find a safety that makes an impact like that early and who's only going to get better. Because a safety allows you, just like a defensive tackle allows you to play run and pass, so does a safety, because you can throw Brian Branch in the box, or you can man him up on Drake London on the outside. So I just, the Jalen Carter, I hear it every day, and it makes my ears want to bleed.
I agree with I agree with that, just because again, because it's something we covered so much of. Like again, the whole Mike Bell thing. This doesn't fit my narrative, so I don't like talking about it. The whole Jalen Carter thing. Even though I love Jalen, I just think people just get sick of the conversation. Like, there's nothing you can do at this point.
Exactly.
You just kind of move forward. It is. But to Lucas' point, I'll let you share your thoughts, Sam, because I'm going to read this comment quickly about Brian Branch. Eric Allen, in regards to this video, I actually commented on it on Twitter, and he highlighted Jacobs. Branch is actually in the middle of the field right over Hutch, what makes the yards covered even more impressive. Sideline to sideline. I was told he's slow.
He is slow. His 40 time tells you he's slow, remember. Don't draft him.
So again, like it is what it is with Jalen Carter. Yeah, is he going to be a great player? Of course, but I think Gibbs will be a good player too. I just think for me, and you guys know how I feel. I value positions a little differently. I'm not Brad Holmes. I'm not a general manager in the NFL. I look at positional value, and to me, having a guy like Jalen who could play the 3-tech for you and be pretty dominant is important. but it is what it is. Can Jahmyr Gibbs be a fine player? Absolutely.
Well, and this is the whole conundrum of the whole. Should we have taken Jalen Carter? Are we fine with the rookies that we have? Because in a lot of ways, this is the wrong week to be having this conversation, because the Lions did win. Their defense was dominant, and the rookies, all 4 of them, really made a tremendous impact on the game. Particularly Brian Branch, who dominated that game from snap to snap.
100%. Yep.
But at the same time, you know who else is dominating games from snap to snap? Who is looking like one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL right now? Jalen Carter. Right now, he is the #1 rated PFF defensive tackle in the entire NFL, not just among rookies, in the entire NFL. And you see him getting to the quarterback. You see him being a matchup nightmare, creating double teams, forcing fumbles, sacking the quarterback, getting tackles for loss. I'm not saying that the Lions necessarily made the wrong decision, but I think certain Lions fans, if you want to look at it from the prism of Jahmyr Gibbs, a running back at 12, he's been very good at times.
Well, I can tell you that the Lions would have been screwed last week if they didn't take Jahmyr Gibbs at 12.
Well, yeah, I mean, they would have had no running back. I understand that. But at the same time, like, Jahmyr Gibbs has been aight. Jack Campbell has been aight. Jalen Carter, Jalen Carter might be an All-Pro this year if he keeps it up.
But to Lucas's point, though, maybe that first round you want to wait and see a little more time for Jack, a little more time for Gibbs. You saw some good things out of Gibbs. But to Lucas's point, when you find a guy who could be an All-Pro in Brian Branch, it does kind of make everything easier to digest a little bit.
Like, the rest of the stuff. My whole point about it is just like, because everybody's like, you can't just go find a Jalen Carter. You can't just go find a Brian Branch either.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Like, you ain't wrong.
You can't, like, I agree. Jalen Carter is going to be amazing in this league. So is Brian Branch. And not only did you get Brian Branch, but you were able to trade back and get him as well. Like, people are like, you could just go up and get Brian Branch as well. Okay, then give up Laporta.
Yep.
I'm not comfortable doing that either. Like, the Lions draft class is so solid. People that cry about Jalen Carter, they're the same people that are crying about Micah Parsons. They're the same people crying about Sauce Gardner or something. Like, people, you can go back to every draft class and be like, damn, I wish that. Well, you don't.
Of course.
You don't. If you trust Brad Holmes and you love Brad Holmes, then trust Brad Holmes and love Brad Holmes.
And Isaiah Bazzi, and he's preaching facts. Cox, Reddick, Jordan Davis, Nolan all play with Carter. He's on the best situation possible. At least playing with familiar faces. Jordan Davis next to him. Like, yes, I think Jalen Carter, though, I think he could have thrived anywhere. But again, like for this comment about Jahmyr Gibbs, and Mike Bell's spot on. This is the MVP comment of the day. He says, we are all underestimating the impact that JMO will have on Gibbs when on the field will open up so much for everybody. I'm excited for that. When you get JMO back, the amount of speed you have out there, it's intriguing. I want to see it. And this is a team that I always said, I got to be consistent here. I was concerned about the weapons. They gave me a weapon. So they answered they answered what I wanted, which is another explosive weapon. They got Jahmyr. Well, we'll see how this all plays out. I just think it's early now for people to throw out the board bust.
Sure.
Like, it's just,
oh my God,
it's so ridiculous.
It's just complete ignorance to call a player a bust after 3 weeks. It's just completely ignorant. These players could be having 9-year careers. You know how many 3-game sample sizes that is, and you're going to judge them off the first one. It's just ignorant.
And you got Laporta, who's leading all tight ends in the NFL. Like,
exactly.
He kind of makes that even more easier to kind of digest there. And Jesse says here, okay, what if the Lions did get Carter at 6 and got Branch at 18 and Laporta at 34? There's so many more dominoes.
They obviously weren't getting Branch at 18 if they had to trade up with the Packers, who, by the way, everybody's like, oh, you probably still would have got Brian Branch. Let's just dissect this real quick. The Packers had pick, and I believe it was the Patriots and then Packers.
Right.
The Packers, when they pick up the phone, the Lions just signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson like a month prior. The last thing that the Packers think the Detroit Lions are coming up to get is another safety. So everybody's like, oh, you can't. New England was also in front of the Lions if they didn't trade up. I promise you, if Green Bay didn't take him, New England was taking Brian Branch. Brian Branch would not have been a Detroit Lion. That's like wishful thinking, like, oh, you could have Carter and Brian Branch. I'm telling you, you probably don't get Brian Branch, especially if you don't trade back to have the assets to move back up.
Yeah, and Jesse says, and Eric Allen, before I read this comment, you don't have 34 if you don't trade back from 60. There's like a butterfly effect. I don't like thinking about that. You could have got Jalen Carter here and then Brian Branch at 18. Like, there's so many different dominoes that could have fell. It played out how it played out, right? And then Jesse says, but defensive tackle makes more of a difference than running backs nowadays. Trust me, I'm with you. That's my value. That's how I value positions. Defensive tackle, edge rusher, offensive line, quarterback. Those things are premier to me. But Jahmyr Gibbs is a line. Like, it's time to just get over it. And you got to just accept it. And I think he could still have a fine career. And Brad Holmes has shown us why lose trust in Brad right now. Allow these things to play out. Look, what
it's just like the final thing before we send it in the mailbag is like, let's just genuinely think about what we saw this week. The Lions, They were down C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so imagine they don't have Brian Branch. They still have one of the best rush defenses in the NFL without Jalen Carter.
Think about that.
They still had 7 sacks without Jalen Carter. If Brian Branch, if Jahmyr Gibbs, out of all people, wasn't on the field, who the fuck is you're going to trust Craig Reynolds and Zonovan Knight? Or my bad, maybe they go and get a 3rd-round rookie running back. You're going to trust him on the field against that? No, I'm sorry. You don't.
Pass. And I'll take, to be honest with you, Gibbs, I know this is kind of cheesy, but it is part of it. That's how the Lions value players. Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, Branch. I'll take the human beings. Those guys, man. Like, I'm never going to worry about them. You know they're going to show up. You know they're going to produce. I mean, Mike Bell nailed it again. The guy's on fire today. He says Lions 23 rookie class is the sole reason we won that Atlanta game. Is there any lies there?
No, that's 100% fact.
You know what I mean?
And I saw him see, he was like, Mike Bell, they would have kept Swift then. I'm completely more confident in Jahmyr Gibbs' ability to fight through contact compared to Detroit DeAndre Swift. I don't expect to see the DeAndre Swift in Philly right now if he's still in Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs was fighting through contact. He had 2 or 3 good runs up the middle. People were like, don't hand it to Gibbs up the middle. Like, no, you hand it to Jahmyr Gibbs up the middle. Do you see his vision at Alabama? You do it. It's not going to work every time, though.
Yeah, and Alex Dickinson says, whatever happened to trusting Holmes and let this thing, let him do his thing? And has that gone out the window now? No.
The
and I don't think it should.
pick alone has just made people
I know.
just quell.
And I know. But to your point, Lucas, like this defense has shown us, Brad bet on who they had in-house. We'll see. In the run defense, 100% is effective. Like that's one thing you can't really talk about. They are damn good against the run, even without Jalen Carter. But maybe we'll see more out of Aleem. It is early on. We'll see how this thing plays out. Josh Pascal's coming back in a couple weeks. I'm excited for him as well. You guys know I love Josh Pascal. So they got a lot of depth there, but we shall see how this thing plays out. I think the whole Jalen Carter discussion it does get old. Even for me, who wanted him. Like it's pointless. What are we talking about?
People act like you can't go sign a defensive tackle next year, the year after. I get it's not Jalen Carter, but now you add a great defensive tackle into what these 4 rookies already.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm
100%.
very fine with that.
Brad Holmes, and we'll see. We don't even know what Broderick Martin is. I don't even know what he is yet. He hasn't played. So we'll see what happens with him as well. We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll get to mailbag. But first, I got to tell you about SMA, so get your questions ready. The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness on mental health and substance abuse. Their podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer, Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, learning street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink live for before every Lions home game for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Market and Shed number 5, and it's going to be a bash. The official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever. How would you like to pregame it with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, and entertainment all included. Get your tickets online today at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on IG, and direct message Lions VIP.
Mailbag time. Let's get to some of these questions. I love this one. Cassid Reed, mailbag. Why did the Lions draft Mahomes, Donald, Kupp, TJ Watt, and Justin Jefferson? Yeah, you're spot on. Spot on, Cassid. Eric Allen. Lions will be in tops of the league with cap space next year, so just wait. Holmes isn't done yet. There you go. Brad Holmes is looking like he's the next Ozzie Newsome, just finding talent everywhere.
Ooh, I like that.
Like you saw, yeah, that's a good one.
Ozzie Newsome was such a good GM.
You see, like what the 49ers did. They needed a defensive tackle. They went and got Hargraves. Like you can go get a dude. I know it's ideal finding a guy on a rookie deal, but Brad Holmes ain't done. I said this too before. He fixed his things in one offseason. He fixes a part of the football team. He got here, offensive line, defensive line. Okay? Added weapons the following year, got an edge rusher. The following year, let's rebuild the secondary. Rebuild it. Give him time. Let him cook. I believe in Brad Holmes in that realm there. Jesse, mailbag. Caleb Williams, Penix, May, Nix, Jordan Travis, Quinn Ewers, all before JJ. Hell, even maybe Jaden Daniels from LSU. Maybe not Jaden. He says maybe not Jaden, but the other ones are better, right?
Yeah, as of right now. Yeah. I never denied that. It's just that...
Man named like 6,
okay,
7.
That's fine.
And Jaden Daniels, just to defend him for a second, get better numbers.
Yeah, no.
Different offense, but better numbers.
Jaden Daniels is a very fine quarterback, but he didn't look so good against Florida State. And I get it. J.J. McCarthy has never played an opponent quite like that this year, and maybe never will.
And also, Jaden Daniels in his career has never thrown for over 20 TDs.
That's actually
J.J.
true.
did that last year. So, I don't know. He's having a better year, but I think I'd put J.J., at least from like a draft perspective, over him. But we'll see. But Jesse's got a spot on, too. He said Sam Hartman, too.
Yeah. That's fine.
But Sam Hartman's he's a great college the guy put up numbers
Sam
at
Hartman
Wake.
screams New England Patriot.
Yeah. He's a Bailey
New
Zapp
England,
kind of guy, you know.
Well, he's better than that.
Type of guy you want your daughter to date, hard work and first one in, last one out type of stuff. Yeah. That's Bill Belichick's guy. That's what they look for. Bailey Zapp, dude, he threw like 60 TDs at Western Kentucky. People forget, like,
shredded the
put up
Lions,
like
too.
Yeah, he did. Shredded is a little aggressive, but he did win that football game. Shredded the Lions. Bailey Zapp, he got cut too the year after.
Dude, that's been him and Matt Corral have been battling for that backup spot for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, Mike Hall. Oh, thanks, Mike Hall. Why is nobody talking about DJ Chark versus Marvin Jones? He looks fantastic this week. Lucas, you're on the stand. Talk to me.
I'm back on the stand. I am back on the stand. We are.
You've been on it a lot this
Dude, this week has been fucking brutal. DJ Chark, I was sitting in the war room next to when he did that spin move. Who they played? They played the Seahawks?
Yeah. That was Andy Dalton out there.
The Red Rifle. Looking better than Bryce Young, but yeah.
All right. He was, to be fair, though, Chark was hurt to start the year. On cue.
The whole thing was like, I think Marvin Jones can replace DJ Chark's production, and I was wrong, but Josh Reynolds is doing that, so I'm not completely like I'm wrong, but I'm not like mad because like I can be wrong, but the Lions still got that number 2 guy.
It's all right, keep reaching. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're right. You're right. Someone had to step up. Your point was maybe it could be Marvin Jones. So
he looked nice last year in Jacksonville.
He did, and I think I'm not out on Marvin Jones. I think there's still plenty of season. I think he'll be out there making plays. He's still somebody you can rely on like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 5.
He went nuts against the Packers when he was here before.
Yeah,
maybe he can do it again.
Thursday night primetime, baby. Shout out to Marvin Jones, man. Popping into the studio sometimes.
Yeah,
he just comes in, hangs out.
Just comes in and chills. For the one day I was in Studio B, and I was like, who the fuck?
I know.
I could only see that like he was walking like in front of me, but I saw the tattoo on the neck, like is like that wing tattoo. Like, oh,
yeah,
Marv!
he's super down to earth. Like,
yeah, no, Marv is by far one of the most like humble athletes out there.
100%. Let's see, Joe Westfall. I've always liked Chark. Mike Bell. Marvin looks old, gang. Jesse Adams, mailbag. You guys like this parlay? Jaden Reed, TD, Laporta over yards, Lions money line, Musgraves over 3.5 catches, under 51. Monty TD. Wow, you're cooking, Jesse. I might have to steal that one because I need a parlay this week, Jesse. So I might lean on you a little bit. I stink, as you guys know. I won my first $80 over the weekend, and I celebrated like the Lions won the Super Bowl. Because I'm probably down double, triple that, and I just won 80, and I'm like, let's go, dude.
Like the
shout out to
Tiger
Booter.
Woods fist pump. Like,
It's like the end of the.
You are.
You know what I think? It's like the end of the Breakfast Club when he jumps in the air and freeze mid-frame. Yeah, that's me. That's me after winning $80. That's how down bad I am. Big Dan Davis, mailbag. How do y'all think the Big Ten will look in additions of Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA next year, along with the debut of the 12-team college football format, playoff format? I am excited. I am. More competition in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Michigan fans.
You know, it's going to be
and the 12-team college football playoff, which more teams in the college football playoff, sign me the hell up. Sign me the hell up.
That'll get definitely a lot more people. Because a guy like me who's just like, I pay attention to college football, but I used to be like engrossed into it like a diehard fan. This will get me back into it because like not every week. Like if Ohio State loses early on in the season, I get now that's a little bit more just because of how packed, top heavy that Michigan and Ohio State are. But it's like one loss and you're just like kind of like your season's over for a lot of teams. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
I
I'm
do
not
hate
into
that too. Because then it allows teams, and rightfully so to some degree, to schedule tomato cans.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to lose. Like, I get both sides. It's better for college football, though, I will say that. Coach Walk 37, is he well-spoken, Jeff, referring to Marvin Jones?
Marvin is very well-spoken. He is.
Coach Walk, man, you crack me up. Jesse says, let's go, Jeff. My buddy won $650 bones off a $20 parlay. See, like, that shit does not happen to me. Like, what the hell? How did
Well, let's cook one up this weekend.
I had
Jeff.
a buddy that never placed a bet in his life, JB. Won $600 a couple weeks ago. And he's like, I just put together a parlay and I won $600.
That's beginner's luck right there.
BS.
Beginner's
BS.
luck.
It was like
That's
a
all.
7 or 8 leg parlay for the.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Dude, what? Like that? Cheating. That's what I say. Again, we're gonna end the show here. We went over, but I love doing the show, and I love you guys tuning in. So you kind of just don't look at the time. Until tomorrow, pack show again.
It's game day.
It's game day. You guys know the energy is different on game day. We're gonna bring the juice tomorrow. The
Business
boys
will
be
be booming.
Business will be booming. Again, thank you guys from all of us here at the studio. Don't forget on your way out, we're almost for 5 away from 200. If we can hit that number, be much appreciated. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Lucas Klotz, the self-proclaimed ball knower.
Having a rough week. We'll be
It's
back
okay.
this
You'll
week.
bounce back. I know
Can't
you,
shoot
Lucas.
100 all the time.
You'll bounce back. Until tomorrow, guys, appreciate it, man. Have a great Wednesday. Again, Big D Energy, 11 to 1, coming up next. Until tomorrow, we'll see you.